Yes. Anyway, I'll leave that for now because I don't need it right now. Anyway, good to see everyone. You realise we're on Restream, so nothing's going to pop up. Just letting you know. So you'll have to put your stuff back in. Yes. It's just me. Actually asked me, and I said a few things. And then the rest of you come on, you asked me, what am I doing, and all that, and, say hello to each other. Oh, that's good. Good to see you doing all that. Robert thought it was interesting and all that. And the rest of yous. I'm not really sure what that's all about. Okay. That's about the comment that Robert made. Hey, hello, Kitty. That sounds delicious. I had a steak and some oysters a couple of nights ago. I love oysters, but they are expensive. In the end, they cost up to $10 for a small container of them. Asking about Australian dollars, I suspect. Whatever. Anyway, move on. They're usually down here $2 each on the waterfront. Can get them cheaper. It depends. G'day, Tom. And yep. And yeah, you can't get them cheaper. But if you get them waterfront, that's the other place. Yeah, we talked about. Yeah, they are cheaper that way. $1 something each. G'day, Angela. Everybody's got food on their mind. I actually was not as voracious today. I sort of held back because I'm going to be voracious tomorrow. Yes, it'll be Harry the Hoover turning up to suck all the food in. Yes. You gotta extend the time restricted feeding to make some room. Canadian pesos, yeah, pretty much it. It's on the other side of the border, isn't it? Of the reserve currency of the world, supposedly. Oh shit, are they? I'll have to wait until after the Christmassy season. Yeah, supply and demand, my dear, supply and demand. I'm stuffed today. Was my Christmas dinner with my kids. Okay. So you're not having much tomorrow, Tracy? I'm holding off for tomorrow. It's been a bit of yogurt, a bit of cheese, a bit of cured meat, and that's about it. I've been very, very contained, had 2 coffees today, that's about it. Didn't even have milk. Did not have any milk. The baby did not have any milk today. So, yes, the big baby, as I'm told by some. Anyway, yeah, sounds good, Tracy. Sounds perfect. Would rare steak have slightly more B12 than medium rare steak? Can you confirm or deny this, Harry? Yeah, probably would. B vitamins, the more heat, the longer you actually cook it, the higher the heat, the more you're losing B vitamins and vitamin C. It's just the reality. If you want to retain more of the water-soluble vitamins, it doesn't happen to the fat-soluble vitamins, but the water-soluble vitamins, they do decline. Not by a lot. That's not by a massive amount. It's just a small amount we're talking about now. So you have to do it for multiple hours to get really a lot of degradation loss. It's just the way it's incorporated in animal foods are far more stable for both minerals, fat-soluble vitamins, and water-soluble vitamins. They're just more stable. But you do lose a bit. Not a lot, a bit. And it varies depending on the heat and the heat intensity, that is, and the duration. So it's all that sort of stuff. But you're not losing shitloads, so to speak. In many cases, you still get more than probably your RDI for the day anyway. So, and while even in methylation, while B12 and folate are required as cofactors, it's really riboflavin that modulates that. So if you don't, let's say if you were to cut out riboflavin, that enzyme wouldn't work as well. So, so that's the reality of that. So it's a bit more than anything else. Good for you. As you know, I've got shitloads and can't really fit any more in there. Yes. You're a friend of a bomb calorimeter, are you? Or you identify as a bomb calorimeter? Yes. Good to know. Good to know. It's nothing, Do you paint yourself metallic? Give yourself a little gloss? I hope so, Robert. I hope so. I hope you glow. You stand out. Oh, good point. Good point. Good point. Actually, yes. Yes, good point. Yes, exactly. Oh, and I need to put the pom-pom around. There it is. Perfect. Perfect. Yes, me naughty. Everybody else nice. There. Oops. Start spitting in a moment. That's what the spitter there is for to prevent the spitting. Especially when I get fired up. Thanks for that. Merry Christmas to you as well. And I'll play with my pom-pom. Can't help myself. We've got an uninvited guest. Oops. Yep. Hold on. Better get the right one. Otherwise, I may take Tracy out by accidentally. Did I remove that? Yep, good one. Gone. Yeah, that's one of those, what are they called? Scams or direction towards an inappropriate site. So, yes, pretty much. I've got to be careful with these things. I'm because I've actually extended the large sort of screen. I'll just show you. I've put it on the full gamut. So there it is. So I'd have to go all the way here and go, the bottom one, the next one up, so make sure I didn't take Tracy out. I'd put her back in. That's okay, but it'd just be annoying. She'd have to wait. Yes. Where were the spanners dealing with that? Anyway, back to this bloke. Now, where was I? Yes. You got to enjoy the humour. And I ate to hunger, but never to stuffed usually. I'm a Hoover. Yes. A very powerful Hoover. Yes, I do. I am a foodie. So, as Hello Kitty knows, I'm a powerful Hoover that has a very strong suction when it comes to food. Let's move on. I love scammers. Oh, God. There's always one in the crowd. Desperado. Oh, God. You mean desperado? Just make it clear. Yeah. So we're not confused and all that. Yes, yes. Ah, get some juice into me. Or let me clarify there, a bit of erythritol and stevia. uh, to be more precise. You devour anything when it comes to meat, just the word meat, and yes, you become a suction machine as well. Say no more before I say something crude. Yes. Ah, hold on, hold on. That must be Sean. I need to get this. Keep the peace. Hey, Sean. Hello. What's he doing? Oh, fuck. Hold on. Okay, I had to take that phone call because it was about tomorrow, the Christmas thing, and all that sort of stuff. So, yes, yes, exactly. I think I've made my symbolic mind. Good to see you, mate. Yes, and Merry Christmas to you as well, and Happy New Year to you and your family. And overspanner, but I thought, here's a guest. Yes, you do. Yes. Anyway, have you just noticed that? You've had it for a while, mate. You've had it for a while. You just noticed that. Or was it not visible? I don't know. I thought you had it for a while because I haven't actually, it wasn't recent. It took time on the side of the screen. Ah, yes, yes. It's that, the pineapple. It's the next bar or whatever, which is with erythritol and stevia. So it's just basically, yeah, most of it, 90% ends up in the toilet, as you know, with those two. Um, yes, yes. Don't drink too much of that because you'll end up with loose stools. Apparently. Um, Yes. Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. Nothing like some good quality raw goat cheese. Yes, lucky she's not around. She'd be, can I try that? Yeah, I get that all the time. She's nibbling on my cheese. Well, let's move on before I say some more inappropriate things tonight. Southern government total sugar. Yes, addicts. Oh, yeah. Oh, what can you do? The young people today, Angela, they're not as colourful as these oldies. Beef based, mate. one more sleep. Yeah, one more sleep until you basically can indulge heavily. Oops. Yeah, she is. Oh, there you go, Tom. You found out your cut loves pork. Gave her some raw lean pork yesterday, and she absolutely demolished it. I thought the cats would prefer lean chicken since it's close to their special species appropriate. They'll eat anything, mate. They'll eat anything. If it tastes good, they'll eat it. But even Lucy, Dad's, when he puts her, he used to put this sort of like a kibble thing that my sister left anyway, and then he basically was putting, some like fish or pork or stuff like that, really animal foods, and the cat would go for that and prefer that over the other dried garbage. And don't blame the cat. Even my brother Sean, he actually, the cat was cat for his partner she was lazy and useless cat until he got her onto real animal foods. Now the cat's up and about, running around, doing things, and even hunting. Completely transformed the cat from a docile, kibble-eating, you know, couldn't even move from one part of the house to the other. Now goes out hunting. Tells you everything about what species-appropriate foods can do for people. Completely and utterly change them. Yes. No, no, you can't. Let alone they make a lot of noise, I can tell you. It really upset the neighbours. Yes, Harry. And, at least you didn't say something upsetting about me upsetting the neighbours. Oh God! If you, everybody's got their little quirks, how they view people. I'll stroke myself. I feel like a pet. Vegan Gains fed his cat a vegan diet. Cat can't synthesize taurine animal abuse exactly. Absolutely cockwomb, but eventually it'll give it cancer. A lot of cats, if they have certain deficiencies, they end up either massive, either cancer or massive inflammation and some other bone-related issue, all sorts of things, eventually, so yes. Is that how you view me? As your pet? Oh, thanks, mate. That's it. Exactly. Precisely. uh, somebody hasn't told her how it goes. G'day, Indy. Good to see you. I haven't done that video yet. I will next week. It'll be available. It'll come out then. So I've nearly finished it, getting it all together. So I have to do it on probably Tuesday or Wednesday. So it is coming out, that and a couple of other things. So I'm getting there. I've actually done something else tonight, which I had to because something came up. I wasn't going to do it. It's just basically it's going to be an issue that's going to blow up in the carnival community about calcification, and it's part of a video that I was going to do in February about reversing arterial calcification and stuff like that. But I'm bringing it forward. I'm doing that part first, and then I'll do the other cardiovascular part after, and I'll just refer to it. So it'll be a shorter video, the other one. But it needs to be discussed because people need to understand about what it means to go through stages of stabilizing plaque and not stabilizing plaque and what happens in the body, because a lot of people don't understand the physiology, and there's research on it that explains it, but unfortunately most people don't understand it. And so they view it as reductions. They do these short-term studies which tell you absolutely nothing. But anyway, that's for another issue, just to demolish all that nonsense that just keeps on coming, never stops. The world is such a great place. Anyone have funny cat destroying Christmas tree incidents? Yes, I've had past ones. I don't have a cat currently, but I have had in the past. And yes, there are plenty of stories of that sort of stuff. I remember socks used to have this with the actual, the rounded balls. Tick, 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 tick. Used to do that constantly until sometimes busted one or knocked it off and busted. So yes, plenty of those. But I've heard worse. A cat jumping on the whole thing and bringing the whole tree down and doing other crazy things. Yes. Bit of lemon. I like it on my pork. I actually like lemon. Just one of those things. I prefer on beef. I prefer basically butter. On lamb, I'll go either way. But on pork, I don't put butter on pork. I absolutely love lemon juice on pork. I enjoy the flavour, and fish as well. I put lemon juice on fish. I do a combination on fish. If it's white fish, I'll actually put butter, let it, melt all over the fish, and then to get a bit of extra fat, and then I'll actually add the lemon juice on top. Really nice. Anyway, we all have our peculiar tastes when it comes. Yes. They do. Me too. I'm going to wait up for him all night. Yeah, look, it's not. I don't mind as well, as long as the stuff has got the stuff that I buy is a bit more expensive than the regular stuff. But what can you do? It's ridiculous that stuff that has got erythritol that comes from the actual stuff, the body as well can actually produce erythritol inside it. But and a bit of stevia. But you can't, you pay an arm and a leg, you pay far more, you pay 3 times the amount, and they put aspartame and all the other garbage in all the other ones. So you can't win. It's annoying, it is. But that's how it is. It's all marketing and stuff like that, unfortunately. But yes, I have done that as well with lemons. Yes, very much so. Harry, how bad for you is dried or slightly overcooked turkey and other Christmas meats? Feels very heavy on the stomach. Has it lost a lot of nutrition? What actually happens is you lose a lot of fluids. And because you lose a lot of fluids, you're not going to lose so much the vitamins. You actually lose more minerals when it becomes very dried or overcooked and you've lost a lot of fluids. So it's a reason why when you're cooking something, you want to actually sear it on both sides to reduce the amount of fluid loss. So you do it at a much higher temperature to sear it on both sides so you don't overcook it and you get it off much earlier. And that's the searing effect. So to hold in stuff, unless you're doing a soup or you're doing basically like a long, like a roast, a slow cooking roast, then all that fluid and all that stuff's going to be retained within the container. So you're not going to lose anything. You can use it and you can take it out with a spoon and put it all over that, so you don't lose anything in that way. But it is usually a loss of fluids that will slightly dry it, and that's the thing. And it's due to overcooking, pretty much. So when you do it sort of like a medium temperature, you overcook it. It's much better to go very high temperature for short durations on both sides. It's a way better way to cook meats. You sear the both sides, and you hold more nutrients in that regard. So yes, it's the best way of doing it. And a turkey, I would also cover it quite a bit. So you basically you're holding the fluids in and you're creating like a steam effect. And if you were to put things like lard, you larded the turkey as well, or butter, or buttered it, or put something like ghee as an example, that would sort of melt in the actual flesh, softening it up, and the steaming effect, because you've covered it, it would also have that sort of, people just put it in like that. I don't. I actually like it to be cooked in its juices and all that, and steamed like that, and then take that off just to put the colour on the outside after, for a shorter amount at a higher temperature to give it that so cook it at a slower temperature and have it covered. So not with aluminium foil, anything like that, or aluminum as you guys call it, but basically baking paper, just putting it around. And then if you can put the aluminium foil on top of that, so it's not contacting with the meat, in order to hold it in place, and then slowly cook that, and then take all that off, and then increase the temperature slightly so you get the nice golden, the crackly, or the nice outside, but inside it's actually had that steaming effect, and it takes a bit longer, but you actually end up creating that steaming effect. So you're actually steaming the actual water molecules inside, which basically will soften the meat as well. So yes. And you can get a bit of low deuterium water like the Invia or something like that, put a bit of that, or if you've got stock, even better, you can use some stock that you've actually created. So there's options for a lot of things. Oh, well, that brings down the squirrel problem. Randomly watching cats bring up a tree after one. Yes. My cat lived to 24 years on fish and heart and occasionally cream. There you go. Look, it's the old Pottinger's cat. You give it basically the nutrient, and heart is a really good source of taurine, really good source of coenzyme Q10. Fantastic stuff. Yeah, I've always encouraged people to give animals, some fish, some organ meats, and some, Dad basically with Lucy. She's got a beautiful coat. She's really healthy now, and even better hunter than she was before. And then pretty much, giving her a lot of, he threw away the kibble, thankfully, that my sister left behind. Anyway, so we got rid of that, and he's just buying fish and animal organ meats and stuff like that, which is good. So he's feeding the cat more appropriately, doing a better job than my younger sister did. Say no more. Yes, the lazy options are not always the best. God have mercy on the people who have to eat hospital food. Oh, yeah, I know. Hardly managed 4 days of that. No salt, no fat. Yeah, it's horrendous. It's crap. It just makes people, they can't heal. That's why a lot of people go into the hospital, and sometimes they struggle to heal for the simple reason that the food is so piss poor in nutrients. It's just crap. It's horrendous. I'll tell you, when I was in hospital for my kidney stones, I used to leave the hospital completely. I had basically, I had, my robe and all that, and just tighten it up. Well, sometimes the nurse would run after me and tighten it up. Mr. Serpanos, you're half naked. I didn't really care. And I used to cross the actual street, get out of the hospital, cross the street, go to with my drip, like the saline drip to clear out the kidney stones, and I'd go across the other side, and there was actually a outlet there, and have a meal there, and basically some coffee and all that, some better coffee, some barista coffee, and then I'd go back. And always be hunting. Where is that, sir, Mr. Swan? Where is he gone walking again? Yeah, I'd go on constant walkabouts. Anyway, I couldn't eat that. It was just crap. And occasionally I knew certain parts of the day, when they came around, I'd just basically get the dairy stuff, the full cream dairy and the dairy. That's all I would accept. And I actually told them, if you bring any other stuff, I'm not having it. And they'd bring me around cheese and all that. That full cream for my coffee, which was, instant, so it wasn't anything fantastic. And also some of the other stuff. So at least it was not as bad, but I've heard worse stories in some hospitals. Yeah, horrendous. Yes, definitely. Richard. Of an upside down tree to hang from the ceiling. My kiddies are uninterested these days. Oh well, they're getting old. What is that? Do you want to play? Nah. Harry, I'm glad I watched the last stream till the end, because I realised that eating too much organ meat actually isn't that good because of the vitamin A storing. Thanks for that. Not a problem, Tom. Not a problem. Look, we're not, even the tribal people, they just will cut small amounts, and it's like a multivitamin. That's fine, But excessive amounts, like Bjorn was doing, listening to people that have got severe deficiencies, yep, I will actually do that. And I tell them for a specific period of time. It's like the B vitamins. I tell people 3 months who have got severe reduction in gut microbiome, and I need to restore that. It's for specific things. Supplements or organ meats, like in higher doses, are for specific ailments. If you've got no ailments and you haven't been assessed properly that identifies any deficiencies, well, there's no reason to do it. It's completely contraindicated. I mean, they used to give organ meats and stuff like that to pregnant women for good reason, because they need extra nutrition. There's reasons. They didn't basically just, they prioritized things for kids that were growing rapidly and needed nutrition. There are times when, yes, you're growing rapidly, you need to store and you need to actually utilize that, because when you're growing rapidly, cell proliferation is much more. You need more fat-soluble vitamins because they are involved in regulating that as well. So you're going to use more as you're growing, far more than when you're an adult. So there are times when you need it, times when you don't. So a child would need it more than an adult. So there are a whole lot of things, there's so much confusion out there, unfortunately. Yes. Rosemary, sage, and thyme go well with pork. Yes, they do. Yeah, they definitely do. Yes. Very much traditional Mediterranean herbs. Yes. and I enjoy them. I actually like rosemary more for the flavour, but that's a personal thing for me. Anyway, so yeah, heart is much better. I actually occasionally get heart, and I get it minced. I won't have it as a steak. I get it minced, and I mince in both a third heart and 2/3, just to get the coenzyme Q10 up, which is good for energy production, but also the heart has the highest density of the highest requirements for coenzyme Q10. So that's the thing, and I've heart past history, so I prioritise that very much in that regard. Indeed, I like balsamic on. Yep. Yeah, I have used like wine vinegar in the past, I, with rosemary and lemon juice, and then shook it. I have done balsamic; it's not too bad, but I used to do the sort of wine vinegar, combining it with lemon juice and either oregano or oregano, whichever way people pronounce it, and basically also lemon juice, and shake it, and basically create a simple type. You've got to be very careful with the balsamics. Sometimes they have seed oils. Very, very important to look at the labels, exactly what the ingredients are. Harry, if I'm cooking sous vide, that's in plastic, slow cooking. Is it better to use a silicone bag for cooking? Richard, I don't know enough about sous vide. Some people say yes, but I don't know enough to be able to, so I haven't looked into it. I haven't looked into what ends up in the meat, any analysis whatsoever. I probably should look into it, but I've never done sous vide. So, but I think that's the one that they usually say is better compared to plastic, due to microplastics or xenoestrogens. It's less of a problem in that regard. So I suspect it's probably better, but I haven't really looked into it to see whether there's any other issues associated with that as well. So I can't really, give you an answer. It sort of shows that my knowledge of cooking is very basic in some regards, so you probably are more of an aficionado in that regard. Michael, Harry, would it be wrong if I tapped one of Santa's reindeers when he flies over tonight and throw it in the air fryer for Christmas lunch tomorrow? Where do you live, Michael? And the question is where you live. I mean, already Richard has basically said that he's going to do that, which basically, because remember, the Christmas starts somewhere in the middle of the Pacific and moves in a westerly direction. So it'll be Christmas Day 2 hours earlier in New Zealand. Guess who'd be basically tapping into one of the reindeers there? I mean, if you're somewhere there as well, I'm going to miss out, and I'd be really pissed off. So it depends where you are on the planet. If you're further away from Hobart, I don't really care. It'll only affect others. It's if you get lucky, good for you. But I've already got a problem here. How do I deal with Richard? Maybe, I'm trying to, I'm thinking maybe I do a long session tonight with a Zoom earlier in order to get Richard so caught up with the Zoom session, he won't have time to do anything like that. Santa will come and go and won't get his opportunity. So that's what I'm hoping. That's the plan. Don't tell him whatever you do. Now, if you're somewhere, within the same thing, be nice if he comes first to you. Don't go apeshit on the poor reindeers. We still need some service down this way. Yeah, specialised bags, Subi, are made from silicone that don't break down. I use one. There you go. Robert's up to date on the info. So Robert would have looked into this as well. I know he's a very analytical person, so I'll go with that. Richard? Old buggers are probably a little tough. Yes, maybe. Yes. We know you like to keep the young ones around, don't you, Richard? Just finish off the old ones. Santa's being warned now. Gotta keep the juice, baby. Not just for taste. Ah, yes. I like the humour. It's with the seasonal stuff. Rudolph on the spit before 12 in New Zealand time. Hey, he doesn't turn up earlier than that. Get it right. It's 12. It's all these people, it's Friday. No, it's not. It's 12 midnight, and 1 or 2 seconds after that, it's Saturday, I struggle with some people. Yes, I get the same reply from, yes, Blinky, he thinks it's Friday as well. Yes, and as I showed, officially it is Saturday. Let's move on. So, we'll be starting the Zoom session 5 minutes earlier, just for you, Richard. I'm so generous with my time. I don't have any ulterior motive, mate. Controlled Christmas dinners out of my control. Tragically, I have to like it or lump it, literally. So it won't be fully beef based. Well, he must be a pussy. I couldn't help to say that. It's Christmas after all. Get back to it. Get with the program. Do you want? You can. Don't sweat the rest. God, I cooked my turkey in a duck fat and corned beef. It roasted bag, low and slow today, both moist. There you go. Yeah, duck fat's really nice. Duck fat is really, really nice. Yes, Hello Kitty's into duck fat now. She's become a bit of a. She's tried it. She loves it. So it's French duck fat, which we get. I got some as well. So I think duck fat is really nice to cook with. Very much so. And very zen, the whole shenanigans. Yes. Even yogurt was low fat in the cardiac ward. Disgusting. Had no taste to it. Yeah, look, they're just crazy nowadays. They're absolutely crazy in that regard. I make Ruteri and the other yogurt with 18% cream, and it turns out thick, rich, and delicious. Easy to make. Sounds good. After Christmas dinner. Here's a dollar. Yeah. Oh, look. Hospital food is really rank in every country. It's just garbage. It's the lowest part of the budget, the hospital budget, is the actual food. Most people don't realize they really spend per the bean counters per client, as they call them, hospital client. They spend a certain amount of dollars. That's it. So that's why you get absolutely atrocious food. because you just basically the person who actually does the Royal Hobart Hospital down here, she's vegetarian. She's married to my work colleague. That's how close, our small Tassie is. So I know exactly what is happening in the hospitals. It's due to budgetary. They can only purchase so many things, and there are specific items that they can purchase. So they make the actual meals based on that. So it's quite restricted. Let's put it that way. So occasionally you get a bit of meat, but it's, small bits, and it's just a joke. That's why I used to go across the road to have actually a decent meal, Ease. John, Merry Christmas to you as well, mate. Can't stay off to work. Fair enough, mate. Still need to earn a quid before Christmas. That's it. Anyway, I hope you have a good Christmas day with your family. See you on the social media next live stream. Take care, mate. And you get more lactose with the low fat nonsense. Yeah, I know. More sugar. Yeah, I know. It never ends. Yes, such a wonderful place to be. Yes, very much so. Sounds nice. So a bit more fat, even half and half. Yep. Yeah. It depends how you want it. I usually get Ash Grove, which is about 43 percent, I think it is. There is another one that I sometimes get, which is about 48, and both of them have got very little carbohydrate and very little protein. It's just pure, really thick fat. It's very, very yummy. Recent global events means Santa cannot afford to feed like he used to. Time to thin the herd. Santa and I have a deal. No. What are you doing? Offering him one of your little lambs, are you? God. I would not be surprised at all. Giving your young ones away, is that it? Also saving you to basically having to buy them a present. Yes, makes sense. It's the one that I've talked about. I believe it's the one that I usually have the videos on. So if you look at the videos on the gut and stuff like that, on my go to one of my playlists and you'll find it there. It's the bio. It's a Swedish one. Probably knowing Robert, he's bought all different varieties and different types of strains. Yeah, I know. Isn't it awful, Tracy? The nefarious things that these New Zealanders think up. It's a worry with those Kiwi brothers of us across the pond. You can't trust them, And, you would never send your young ones over there. They'd probably sell them into Santa slavery. Couldn't trust them at all, basically. Look how they treat their own little young ones, That's the one. Bulgaria is the one, and that is the one that has those strains which are really good for the gut. Don't let him out of your sight. Sandra is fat due to cookies. He's engaging the Randall cycle. Cream and cookies, isn't it? Is it milk and cookies? He's definitely engaging the Randall cycle. With all that milk and cookies that he's consuming as he goes around the world, what do you expect? You guys are just basically feeding Santa the wrong food, species inappropriate foods. It's probably all low fat as well. Low fat, with kibble. Poor Santa. Jew. Good to see you, mate. Merry Christmas to you as well. Oh my, those carnivals are preparing to poach some reindeers. I gotta warn the vegan police. Don't forget the vegetable. What is it? Vegetable police or whatever he was called. Is he still called that? I don't even know. Don't even forget to inform him as well. Yes. Poached. That's a good idea. Yeah, they do it to all their little critters over there. You should know that. Yeah, I mean, he even thinks it's a good idea. Say no more. If you got your young ones over there, no guarantee whatsoever. If you don't have a sheepdog protecting them, you're in trouble. DJ, protect us, meat. Roar. All the fermentation methodologies. Yes. Don't forget to give us Celsius as well. Not all of us are basically. Some of us are more. Just to remind you, Robert. Some of us are more civilized. We use the metric system. That'll go down like a ton of bricks, won't it, Richard? In the Americas. Respect through fear. Yeah, the sheep over there basically they're on there. They're anxious when Richard's around. Oh yes. And he's pom pom as well. I'm in. You're in Sydney. Are we further? I think you may be further east than we are. I think. Keep your paws off my reindeers. Just letting you know. Got to deal with these poachers. That's it, Roy Nicholas. Ho ho ho! Oh, the secret's out. How did you survive 1 month? Yeah, I know. How do you survive exactly? You do what I do: walk out of the hospital, go and eat somewhere else. Yes. Actually, the worst case was when I had my second kidney stone. It just wouldn't pass. Sorry, third. That's right, the third. The second one passed with water. The third didn't pass. That's right. That I need to have another operation on that one. I had it on the first and the third. Yes. So that was interesting. And nearly had it on the fourth. Nearly. But luckily not. It did clear. So I didn't even go to the hospital at that time. I basically went hard on some other things, citric acid that I had and stuff like that, and it sort of cleared eventually, which was bloody lucky. Because if it was too painful, I would have gone just for the drugs. Give me the morphine. Yes. Jin, good to see you, mate. Merry Christmas to you as well, mate. Santa's awful winter lamb. Like suckling. Too much information, Richard. Too much information. Exactly. Engaging the Randall cycle. Yes. I wouldn't say Santa's a dodgy one. It's everyone else that basically completely causes this problem. Well, repeat followers saying gluconeogenesis is stress on the liver and increasing high cortisol levels. He's because they're idiots and it doesn't increase cortisol levels. That's just nonsense. I don't know where they get that logic at all in that regard. What they do is they look at these stupid reductionist sort of pathways and all that. They conclude based on that. But the reality is that it's like when you initially go into fasting. When you look at those studies, yes, your cortisol goes up, but then it actually comes down and it stays down back to physiological levels. It's just basically a response to produce more sugar. It's a signaling, high cortisol isn't, high chronic cortisol is a problem, but cortisol in its own as a hormone has signaling properties. So it actually signals to the body to do something. The dawn effect, when you wake up, the raising cortisol is one to wake you up and get you going, but also to basically initiate more glucose in the body. Gluconeogenesis isn't basically determined on high cortisol. It's basically that dawn effect to actually produce more. That's why your blood sugar goes higher in the morning than later in the afternoon. You're still producing glucose from gluconeogenesis in a low carbohydrate state, but you don't need high cortisol. High cortisol is a signaling to say to the body, dump out not only glucose, but dump out also free fatty acids. So it's actually telling the body, I want you to actually increase the amount of glucose you're putting in the body and increase the amount of free fatty acid you're putting in the body. Why does the body do that? Because it wants to get you going. You haven't eaten. You've got no nutrients in your body. You've woken up and basically the body is waiting for nutrients. You have to go out and hunt an animal and get it. And that's why you get this big effect and then it comes down at about 11 o'clock. That's a normal thing. That's why you don't want to put food in that period. From 10:30 to 11 o'clock is that transition period. From then you can break your time restricted feeding. And that's what our ancestors did. They would more or less have killed an animal by then, or may have come across certain foods and picked something and eaten something. But generally speaking, when they wake up, they get their gear, they're out hunting. There is no food, no supermarket, no fridge, no nothing. They have to go and get the food. And that's why they need that boost. It's, but in the rest of the day, even though you're actually releasing free fatty acid, you're releasing glucose through gluconeogenesis, demand driven. It's basically at a much slower the level that the body requires. And if you exercise a bit more and you run a bit and you deplete glycogen, it'll actually boost a bit more, but cortisol doesn't go up. Just glucagon basically will push a bit more out. So it's nonsense. It's again reductionist thinking. They get these dawn effect sort of studies and stuff like that, and then they go, oh, look what's happening. But, that's the circadian. Let's look at throughout the whole day, the entire cycle of cortisol, because cortisol's tied to melatonin. You can't have high melatonin unless you've got cortisol in the morning that rises and then it goes through a circadian rhythm cycle. These people just don't know what they're talking about. They're idiots. Again, reductionist thinking at its best. So it's just nonsense. Because they need to explain why cortisol can be very low when gluconeogenesis is happening. They don't answer that one, do they? Because it doesn't serve their narrative. That's the thing. Again, reductionism. They don't think in terms of circadian rhythms, all this sort of stuff. If you've got cortisol through the night, it usually happens from high glucose and insulin resistance. Doesn't happen when you're in a low carbohydrate state. So, and especially when you're taking in more salt, which brings down cortisol levels, because that's another thing. A lack of salt can also push up cortisol levels, and basically poor regulation of electrolytes. And what does taurine do, which is in animal foods? It is osmolite. It regulates the electrolytes and prevents these sort of things happening. Plus, it increases GABA, which calms you in the evening and actually improves also your melatonin production as well. So, if you understand physiology in a more holistic way, with circadian rhythms and all that, it all makes sense. But if you just use reductionist nonsense, and then you basically say, oh, well, use sugar. Yes, obviously use sugar to bring it down, but that's not the proper physiology. Then you derange the whole physiology. It's just nonsense. Again, reductionist thinking, unfortunately, Jin, it's just bullshit. I've experimented with a ton of bacterial strains. You're absolutely right. For these, test enough of the image results. Long run. Did I miss something? I probably did. It took me a year to get my gallbladder motoring again. All good now. Yeah, look, it takes... I've always said to people, it takes time to emulsify and get the gallbladder functioning properly again. If you've been on a kibble diet for a very long time, you're going to have a very sluggish gallbladder. So, and you need to emulsify, and taurine can actually speed up the emulsification, but it still takes time. And you may have also sludge, which can take a bit of time to clear out, in some more than others faster, So I had a much longer pronounced period, up to 2 years, which was very bloody annoying, but what do? It's just the way it is sometimes. Please do us, Harry's. Better let his European viewers know Santa's going to be a bit late this year, looks like. All his reindeers are going to have an accident before they get there. Looks fucking like it, doesn't it? with Richard and yourself, mate. Let's not exclude yourself as well. Who needs bloody enemies? Our European subscribers are really just stuffed, aren't they? They're going to make believe. Well, as I said, dress up as basically and make believe. Yes. Save Christmas from the Aussies. Hey. There's only one Aussie and there's a whole bunch of Kiwis on the other side. Let's get it right. Kiwis, exactly. Yeah, he knows his name. He pops up like a jackrabbit. Boil up, Harry. Exactly. Get it bloody right. Wrong people are being accused. Vegans will be sobbing Santa is for animal cruelty and will try rescuing them. Oh, God. Yeah. Where's Richard? I think he's on the north part of the Southern Island. Send them there. You'll feed them to the pigs. Well, at least they're giving they're sacrificing themselves for a good meal for another animal. Santa next year will be on Elon Musk's electric ski. No more reindeers, they fart. Nice one. Yes, I can believe something like that. Or on Elon's rocket. Reindeer Mark II. Or electric reindeer. Bloody hell. G'day, Sil. Good to see you. Yeah, sorry, but it could be that the Scandinavians get Rudolph first since we got opened presents Christmas Eve. Yes, okay. Oh, there you go. Richard, you're stuffed. your whole strategy has gone to bust. Let alone now you've told them what you're going to do. They're going to move in quick before you have a chance. There you go. They've already probably done it. Well, I can only blame Richard for that. For the rest of you little kiddies in Australasia and elsewhere, yes, I do feel for you. Yes, Uncle Richard has been a bad, bad lamb. Too many ideas. Stop giving me ideas, Tracy. South of the North Island. Okay. Okay. Well, it's not too far. Well, I'm trying to misdirect them as well. Now you've told them exactly where you are. You're done. You're done, mate. You are done. Your history. The Vagoons will be over there with a full brigade of Vagoonerized, you know, foot soldiers. Yes. Now, if you get your sheep lined up, they probably will. And in synchronicity, they probably will run. Yes, exactly. Can be a bit too lean. Someone tell the Scandinavians it's Christmas here in less than 3 hours. Oh, they're doing it on the yeah. I know. There's a lot of confusion in this live stream. You should know that, Richard. There is complete no consistency whatsoever. Already too late. He will laugh. Yes, that one, that he will laugh. With all this comedy and not really sufficient questions, I've been moving quite fast through this one, haven't I, Richard? Let's not tell them. Keep them focused on the comedy. Yes. Yes, it's a interesting time, to say the least. Yes, I hope all you lovely people have invited Jabba the Hutt around for Christmas. Yes, I hope you've been very good little children, well behaved, listening to basically your dear masters. Yes, I hope you have. You haven't been misbehaving, avoiding your dear friend Jabba the Hutt, like the rest of us. We could stuff the deer into a cow. God, the combinations that they think. A pig in the that's right. What is it? Call it something deducken or something like that. What do they call it? I forget. They've got this really yes. Oops. Merry Christmas to you as well, Dom. How are things? Yes, we're talking about basically. There's a few people that want to poach reindeers this year. Yeah, I know. Richard being the worst culprit. Yes, this fellow. Deducken? Is it called deducken or something like that? I can't remember now. When they stuff one into the other. We'll take the bus. Elon's rocket ship. It's landable. It sort of can come down to land. So it's got options in that regard. Sean Baker posted a video on his channel of a Vagoon who made no beef Wellington with kibble vegan slop. It looked like turd with food dry in it. Oh God. The shit that they make is just ridiculous. Oh, that's it. Exactly, Tracy. Turducken. That's it. Yes, that is exactly it. Stuffing one bird into another. Yes, exactly. Yes, yes. Yeah, I can imagine their Christmas meals. Absolute horrendous, you know. What do you do to deal with all the carb consumption consequences? Oh, is somebody cheating? Are they now? Is somebody cheating tomorrow? Somebody being a bad boy? Now, go away, whip yourself, and do a couple of Hail Marys. Uh, oh, thanks, mate. 2 coffees are required today. Yeah, I probably need after tomorrow's, session of. Yes, I've got a couple of gins, and I've got some ciders, and I've got basically a whiskey, a single malt whiskey, a Scottish single malt whiskey. So yes, there's going to be a bit of feasting. Let's put it that way in that regard. Yeah, thanks, mate. What is Santa? Has to be a diabetic by now, definitely. That's why he's so slow getting around the planet. You should, at some point towards the end when he hits certain parts of the world. Yes, and what's Richard doing? He's slowing him down even further. So yes, thanks, Dom, for the contribution. And now let me. I'll get back to you soon. Get right button winning into live. Okay, now with that other one, on this one. So what is Harry doing tomorrow to mitigate a lot of this sort of stuff? He's taking astaxanthin just in case he needs it, but probably is probably an overkill. He's got his low dose vitamin E that he's taking, but that's probably overkill as well. Probably not. But the key ones is I'm going to take 1 gram of choline, 2 B complex vitamins, B complex in the morning. Well, at close to lunchtime when I actually go to, and then after that, when I get back, I'll basically put, and taurine, sorry, and then I'll put taurine and choline, mix it up, and then I'll basically have another 2 with that water, 2 additional B vitamins, which will basically deal with the depletion of the B vitamins that the liver would have gone through in detoxing the system, because it does use a lot of B vitamins in the detoxification, and also uses choline to export the additional fat. So you don't end up with fat droplets in the liver. So, especially from the alcohol. So that's basically the strategy to deal. And then after that, a 24-hour fast. That's how he's going to deal with it. So yes. And Tracy's talking about kiwi pavlova. I don't want to know the ingredients. I suspect it'd be scary. Harry gets right to the bottom, winning. He's live. Yeah, I know. Trying to move. Don't tell him. Yes, they put a bunch of tofu in it. Yeah, exactly. Good way to wreck your gut over time, I'm sure, with all that glyphosate. Oh, definitely is just horrendous, the stuff that they consume. No wonder they have all these gut problems and all sorts of issues. Yeah, it's just absolutely crazy. What do you think, as I have calcium on their arteries, not enough K2, MK? No, they don't, actually. Those people that were actually looked at were in Nairobi. That was in the capital city, not the ones in the tribal area. And so we don't know what they were eating. And we know that people like Maasai, even today in the non-tribal areas, are actually eating more vegetable oils and grains and stuff like that because they can access that food. So yeah, we have no idea. And we can see Maasai that are actually, even in low-grade ketosis, very in very older age and not a problem whatsoever, DJ projectors. So yeah, it's basically, the problem is that people are looking at two different populations, one in the tribal area where George V. Mann was actually analysing with cardiograms and all the sort of equipment, and actually could see that they were in pretty good nick into old age, normal blood pressure into old age, everything normal and all that. But the ones in Nairobi that were the city slickers, that were in the actual mortuaries, they were basically had some of this calcification. The problem is people back then, they didn't actually, they thought, they didn't really think about food as much. They were thinking about genetics, similar genetics, we found this. And their conclusion was, if they have low blood pressure, normal blood pressure and all that other stuff, and they don't show any signs of cancer, arterial, heart issues or whatever, it must be okay. They must have some factor, they thought, that basically doesn't affect them the same way as Westerners. The problem is they were missing the important part. These are observational studies, population observational studies. They weren't clinical to see exactly what were they eating, the differences. That's where the problem. So even George V. Mann and many others that looked at that stuff didn't actually, because in the tribal areas you don't have, when you're dead, they bury you. So you can't access the dead, but you can in Nairobi, the capital. That's the problem. They were seeing two different populations, but they were making out as if they were the same and then concluding a whole lot of nonsense. That's the problem. They get plenty of K2 because it actually is in the diet. The dairy has quite a bit of K2, far more than even organ meats. So yes, those are the issues with those sort of studies back then. Unfortunately, people did not make that distinction. See, that's the difference between somebody like Weston A. Price. He recognised the difference between populations which were, even though they were the same population, and he actually looked for the same population but different diet. He was looking at the diet. Where George V. Mann wasn't focused on the diet. He was just focused on what are the differences between these tribal people and Westerners. So he was looking at populations, a bit like many other epidemiologists, including Ansel Keys, were looking at population groups, even though he very selectively selected his data to make out what he wanted, to show. But basically, that was the problem with those studies back then. They were looking at population groups, where earlier in the 30s, they were looking at diets, not population groups. They were looking at the same people, different diet. That's what people like Weston A. Price, and they noticed the difference. They noticed cranial size difference, better teeth, happiness, stuff like that. This is the problem with somebody who is an enlightened person that goes out, notices this doesn't fit the narrative and is an inquisitive mind like Weston A. Price or others, traditional academics that just go out there and basically have a traditional academic approach to just collect data and then make conclusions on population levels in terms of epidemiological data. And that's where they get a lot of things wrong, because you can't do clinical stuff because you'd have to lock people up. You can't do that. So they have these population studies, which are highly problematic. That's where all this sort of stuff comes from, DJ Projectus, and that's why they got a lot of conclusions wrong and still get a lot of these conclusions wrong. And even the recent study that was done for the carnival, some of the carnival community put in, there was some issues again with calcification. And I'm actually going to do a video to explain why this happens. It was going to be part of my cardiovascular video, but I've had to bring it forward because of this issue. If it wasn't this issue, I would have left it for February when I was going to do my cardiovascular one. So I'm doing this part, the calcification part, and then later I'm going to call it calcification friend or foe. And I'm going to explain exactly the mechanisms and exactly how these things work over time and why they work like that. And it really explain calcification in the proper way. There is calcification, certain ways it works. There's calcification in different ways, and there are also different sort of activations of macrophage and non-activation under certain calcified conditions, and why that happens. it's a much more complex picture. And unfortunately, you're not going to get that from an observational epidemiological study like that one that was done short term. Doesn't really tell you. But I'll explain why they saw what they saw and why that happened in that short term study. It'll make sense because these people have come from a non-carnivore diet into a carnivore diet, and they've already had pre-existing. Sean had none and showed none after a number of years. Somebody that doesn't have the problem and all that, why does somebody show? Without giving too much away, it'll be explained and released later tonight at about 3 o'clock 3 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time daylight savings. So in, what have we got? In about 7.5 hours. So that's when it will actually come out, and you will basically be enlightened what exactly is happening and why it's happening with real research that explains it. Anyway, and moving on. In dishes. Yeah, something like that along those lines. Yes. Mike, Happy New Year to you as well, and Merry Christmas. I've even seen him pavlova. Roy, that New Zealand dessert. Oh, God. Fuck it. They claim everything, these New Zealanders. They got an inch, this, about, and it all originates in New Zealand. Not Australia's just stole everything from the New Zealanders. It's a typical tit for tat thing. It's just basically an issue of inadequacy on the Kiwi side. What can one say? Oh, you took another one of those scam things, yeah. Nice one. Yeah, they're popping up all over the place. It's I sometimes on the get the scam ones or get the porno one redirection, I get rid of them as well. It's more just in case, young kids or whatever. I don't want them coming across, at least on my channel. Other people can police their own channels in that regard. I used to drink quite a lot of Canadian Club back when I was much younger. Yeah. Me and my cousin Harry. Yes, we've got the same name. I know. It was really confusing. I asked Harry about carbs and replies about alcohol. Is that me or Harry? Well, let's not say. Look, when it comes to sugar as well, remember alcohol and sugar, actually fructose is processed through the liver in the same way. It's called non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So basically, it uses up a lot of B vitamins and uses up a lot of choline to export that fat, exactly like alcohol does. So it applies to both in that regard. Glucose, on the other hand, that's a different thing. That's only going to make you extra. It's only going to engage the Randle cycle and add additional fat stores or replete glycogen. You can go out and do a lot of exercise, reduce your glycogen stores. So when you do eat those carbs, they'll go into glycogen. Some of them will anyway. So that's one option. You can add that additional option since you're going to be a carbholic on the day. So get out there, hit the pavement, high intensity, and send us the photos so we can laugh. Just make sure you put a little thing on your t-shirt. I'm doing this to deal with my Randle cycle issues. Oh, Harry, will dairy that contains lactose compromise carnivore adaptation? For example, someday I eat something like 150 grams of yogurt and some raw milk. is that too many carbs? It depends. If it's just the basic stuff, I mean, what are you looking at? You're looking at 150 grams. Usually has about, let's say 4 on average. It has slightly. If you're having whole, whole fat yogurt, it usually is less than 4 per 100 grams. But let's say it's 4, 4.5. So we'll go for the higher end, 1.5. So for 150, that's basically 6.75. Let's say 7 to round it off. Okay. And then milk, you're probably having, about a cup of milk, or let's say 2 cups of milk. Let's say general, which is about 500. So that's 5 times about 4 plus 7. That's about 27 grams of. So you're still in a low carb state, potentially even still in a ketotic state at that level. So yes, but if you go beyond, beyond the 50 is sort of between 25 and 50 is sort of a sliding. It depends on the person's genetics, their glycogen stores, and whatever else. So if you're exercising and all that, not an issue. But if you're not, you're sedentary, those glycogen stores may not be depleted. So, anything above that obviously may start, being converted to fat. Not a lot of it. You won't actually get a lot of it, just a bit in that regard. You may not get any converted, even up to 30. Depends on your genetics. If you're Mediterranean, you probably can tolerate up to 30, 35, much easier. Usually Northern Europeans tend to basically notice issues over 25. So, yes, and you're Italian, so probably less of an issue in that regard. So, yeah, at that level, probably not. But I definitely wouldn't go over 50 grams. Definitely not. And I wouldn't do it day in, day out either. Yes, very humorous person. Yes, more humorous than that Harry bloke. Richard, you should know that. Yep, not a problem. Yeah, look, there's a lot of bullshit out there, unfortunately, with like the blue zones and all that. It's a raft. It's like a horrendous mountain of stuff that needs to be blown away and demystified and explained. And it takes a long bloody time. And I think that by the end of next year, I think I will have, my aim is to basically do enough videos to, let's say, debunk most of the nonsense out there. The repeat, the vegan nonsense, and many of the low-fat nonsense that actually is out there, and some of the other related stuff with the blue zones and all this other stuff. Because I intend to do a few more things with a few other people, like Mary, and including some other stuff that I've lined up for later next year. So that's the aim. Hopefully, I can get to that level, and then after that, it'll be more, the occasional thing here and there that I haven't covered, anything new that comes up. It'll be more that focus, refining some of the stuff, or a bit more nuanced, developing additional protocols and stuff like that. So it'll be a whole lot of different things, and there'll always be some new thing that the Vagoons have come up, some other nonsense that needs to be dealt with. So that's not going to stop. They're always coming up with all sorts of nonsense. Some of it just is, it's just not, doesn't, defies logic. It's beyond even the realm of, I accidentally made that remark. No, you are completely and utterly insane for saying that. So it's getting to that level with the Vagoons, because they're completely misanthropists. They've got an agenda. Humans are bad, and they're a scourge on the planet. So for them, any sort of nonsense goes. But that means there's more ammo. There's more stuff for me to debunk, and for me and Bart to pull apart their nonsense studies and stuff like that. So there'll be plenty of material for us. I don't think we're going to be starving for material. Let's put it that way. Very much so. And that as well. It's a dual purpose, that one for both people that are going to be having a lot of fructose in there, and the alcohol part as well. So yes, everybody will be inviting Mr. Randall around. uh, have you met our friend Philip? Yes, that's his given name, Philip Randall. Yes. If there was no alcohol in the world, I could live without it. Yes, I think we all probably could in that regard. Yes, spanner at works, getting rid of another nuisance. Yeah, unfortunately, they are proliferating. There's just more bots around nowadays. They're a bit on the proliferation side. Yes. Oh, is that it? You checked, Richard, Robert, did you? You damn deviant. Yeah, he admits it even. It was cryptic, was it? Or some physics scam? Yeah, probably. One of the two. Yes. Sort of reminds me, what is it? Timothy talking about the end of time, about the way people. I should read it one of these days, and you'll be shocked at the similarities with today. I'm not claiming that sort of. I don't think we're there yet, but some of the degeneracy that exists today is quite appalling. Yes, get your daughter on social media, and she'll end up becoming a star on OnlyFans. Say no more. Yes, it's pretty appalling. Yes, exactly. Those bots are out there to, yes, means are always important. Hey, so it's actual automatic post. Yeah. They're using special software to basically do it. Um, Unfortunately, they can get around the YouTube stuff. Yeah, look, you can get around any system, believe me. I mean, I've had cases where an Apple computer, let's say, I found a way to get somebody access back to their account. Say no more. So, because remember my first job, I built computers and it was IT. So there are means and ways around anything, believe me. So in that regard, so when somebody wants to get back into their system when they've locked themselves out, who do you call? I'll leave it at that. Yes. So yes, in that regard, nothing is, as I said, if you're basically, if it's something you don't want people to see, don't put it on a computer. Believe me, store it on a hard drive and put it in a locker. So, because if it can be accessed, it's yes. I usually tend to have multi-layered defenses to prevent that sort of stuff. And if I've got certain stuff like personal stuff, I use encrypted sort of containers to put the stuff in, so people can't access it in that regard. So, and you can put it on a memory stick, just plug it in. I always save it, and I always save it on my drive, because I can always download the drive and put it back on a memory stick, so so it's convenient. But it's on the drive. I can pull it down, and if I need another copy, if the memory stick goes to shit. But all my stuff is in that encrypted and cannot be accessed. Most other stuff I actually memorized anyway. I've got pretty good memory, so a lot of my passwords and stuff. But just in case I haven't used something for a very long time and I'm just, wondering what I changed it to, yes, it's always handy. Oh, yes. Yes. Lovely people. They're YouTubia people. I absolutely love Google. If you believe that, you'll believe anything. Wonderful people. It's for the AI. Just trying to explain to people. They're going, what's wrong with Roy? Is something wrong with him? No. He's just trying to basically make sure that the AI loves him. I love you, YouTube. Great place. Google's the best company out. Merry Christmas, Google. Merry Christmas, YouTube. You know what? I'm going to get brownie points from the AI. You wait and see. They'll be posting me all over the place. The shit we have to do in turn. Bone. Cool spat. Bloody hell. You guys are full of fun. Full of fun. I like Thor. You're worse to lift the span. You watch too many movies. Yes, that's basically it. That's exactly it, Tracy. Simple stuff, you know. You know, you can get excited by, you know, just caressing someone. Much traditional. I'm a traditionalist in that regard. Yes. The real thing. Nothing like the real thing. Yeah, I'm a traditionalist. And a bit of 30 minutes before, you know, L-citrulline, just to get the vasodilation up to last more than once. I got to the bottom again. You guys are slow. That didn't even come up in the actual thing. It came up first on this. Santa just got his message from Richard for a special Christmas ball ticket. His plan is afoot. I wouldn't be surprised. He's probably put down this big mark. X marks the spot where you roast. Yes. I remember garlic when I was eating more of a kibble-focused diet years ago seemed to improve blood flow. Yes, it does actually increase nitric oxide as well. So yes, it has a vasodilating effect, but it doesn't sort of last as long. Where something like L-citrulline is a bit more goes everywhere, does better things because it bypasses the liver, which is important. So it all happens in the bloodstream, which is great. Okay, placebo effect. Who cares? Well, Dad still grows his organic garlic. My old man, so he's got his own garlic and all that. He actually consumes it raw. I don't know how he does that, but it's probably better than cigarettes. Oh, look, I always view plants as medicinal, as medicine in a sense, not food. Yes, it looks like it. Yes, and also the current strain looks based on the research that you will see tonight. In a couple of hours from now, there'll be a thing that will actually appear in regards to. Oh, that's right, because I've got two things. Actually, I'll have to put that a different time. I just realised I've double dated. I've got the two videos on the same time slot. Okay, there is that one about not that stuff, but the new strain and the new research out of Hong Kong and my take on that. So I'll have to work out which one goes first. So, yep. I think I'll do that first, and then I'll do the next one. I'll have to change the time slot, won't I? I'll have to, anyway. I'll sort that out after. Forgot about that one. I've got that one scheduled as well. Damn. Anyway, it's going to be 2 after this live stream, but I'll have to work out the time slots for those. Don't encourage him, Tracy. Don't give him ideas. Those poor little lambs over there, Jonathan, good to see you, mate. Scotty, good to see you. Yes. Just cooking my meal. Yes. And Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you, mate. Oggy, good to see you. Merry Christmas. Yep, to you as well. Great to have the community, like-minded people. Cheers to you all. Thanks, mate. Same to you. Mushrooms, neither a plant nor an animal. Yep, exactly. Do you think psilocybin has a place in treating depression? I would rather basically an animal-based diet. I think taurine calms down, which is what is in animal foods, very high. It increases GABA, and there's a number of peptides and nutrients in animal foods that seem to basically reduce, because you get rid of the sugar, improve that. I don't think you need supplementations that may disrupt the normal chemistry of the brain. A bit of it may not be a problem, but too much, as in concentrated form, like in supplements, would be a problem. But having a few mushrooms, all that, not an issue in my book. Yes, they are. Their cell structures are more like animals, but they grow more like plants. But they are a fungus. So basically, in terms of a fungus, they're more like an animal than a plant in that way. So in most cases, they're just an animal that can't move. Yes, or move very slowly, as fungi do, by spreading and growing more like branches. But they are definitely an organism which is very different to a plant and have more cellular similarities with animals, including bacteria. They have more similarities with animals than with plants as well. I'm not getting anything from Tracy, that's for sure. It's not a warning image with a pregnant lady smoking your cigar or someone else's children. Conspiracy, maybe. We're not even going to go there. I could make all sorts of comments and get myself into a lot of trouble. Yes, very much, very much. Butter poached eggs and some beef patties with yogurt with doubled cream. Yes, sounds good. So it's a great tool. And I bet they did. Rui, good to see you, mate. Yes. They love Jabba the Hutt down up at that place. Yes, they definitely do. Yes. He'll be coming to Christmas. I'm going to drop off for now. Back to the Zoom later, Con. Thanks, Roy. Have a great Christmas, chaps. See you, Richard. See you, mate. I'll see you later on in a couple of hours' time. So 4 hours' time from now, when the Zoom thing will start. That's exactly right, Tracy. That's all they should be smoking. Hunterers-gatherers, someone who hunts for meat and gathers firewood to cook, said meat. Yeah, exactly, Michael. As I said, plants were starvation foods, you know. Oops. Yeah, it does. If you're basically not doing any bodybuilding, I wouldn't waste my money. But if you're doing bodybuilding and you're trying to build more tissue, and you want to basically provide that creatine shuttle, so you can actually, get better performance and sort of be able to, go a bit harder in a sense. Yes, makes sense. I've got creatine monohydrate as well, but I only use it on days that I lift weights. If I'm not lifting weights, I don't bother. So it's only on those days. I have done the creatine loading before, especially if I've done a period where I'll do a creatine loading and then basically get into lifting weights for a couple of whole month, every couple of days a week. But I haven't used any creatine lately because I've been off doing any weights for the last month or so. So yes, and I've been playing around with the leucine to see can I maintain, and I have, and even slightly increased. I've noticed, so just with the extra leucine supplementation. So that's been interesting. It's more of, remember I said that I want to do some stuff to basically help people with elderly and stuff like that. It's sort of proof of concept. To make sure that it does work. So if you're not doing any exercise whatsoever in terms of weights, can you maintain muscle? So that was the sort of purpose behind it, the logic anyway. Seems to be doable in the short run, over a month. I don't know about the long run. So I'm going to be doing it for about 3 months and see how it all plays out without lifting any weights whatsoever. So have to get up early to cook for the in-laws tomorrow for the meal. Is light one. Yep, not a problem, mate. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you. See you, mate. Definitely. Yes. What can one say? So I'm gonna that hasn't come through. Yes, it has now. Old people should lift weights. My old man does. Since 70, not when he was 76 to now, he's actually restored about 50% of his muscle that he had actually. So where he was about a decade ago, he's actually restored about 50% of that, and he's much stronger now at 87 nearly shortly this in January. And so it makes a big difference. And he's got some weights. He does some weight lifting in the morning, and then that's fasted, and then he does some weightlifting in the afternoon. So he does about 10, 15 minutes. Depends. Usually about 10 minutes. That's what he does. So I just tell Dad, just do it until you feel I'm tired and you don't want to do anymore. That's fine. So he's not a weightlifter. He's not trying to build massive, but he's restoring, because he had big muscles. I mean, ginormous muscles. So, sort of having much more dense myonuclei compared to other people, he can restore much faster. So that's why I usually say if you're a younger person, build up your micronuclei build up your capacity to build muscle tissue more rapidly in older age, because you're going to need it if you want to make sure you're strong enough to get off a chair and stuff like that. So that's critical. So yeah, the old man's doing pretty well on that front, Robert. And me seeing those results goes, and that's without leucine, without even leucine supplementation. What I'm doing here is trying to work out a method for people that don't consume a lot of protein, but can actually boost without exercise, without anything, and all that. And I've actually forced myself to basically not consume deliberately as much. And I've been doing a bit more dairy and stuff like that, which I prefer doing more steaks. But that's deliberate to be able to see what happens, because I'm trying to mimic something. That's probably why I've got so much meat now that's piled up, because I'm actually, because I like the stuff, but I actually have to do smaller portions. So just to get an idea. I'm getting I'm starting to get bored with it. Tomorrow's going to be an absolute debauchery, but anyway, because I've missed, eating a lot of massive big meats. I've been eating something like where before I was eating 600 to 700 grams of meat. So I was getting quite a bit in there, and that would be. That would be like, 0.8 pounds. So I'm, a much smaller person, so I don't need the level that, where now I'm only doing about 300. I'm doing about nearly a third of that, So I'm not eating as much protein and all that, and I'm just supplementing to see what will happen, because I can't go any further down. I just could not do it. I just, I need to have some level of protein, but I'm just doing to see, without any exercise, what happens in the next couple of months, and get an idea of, is it doable sort of more long term for older people, no exercise, just more leucine supplementation. So, and maintaining. The key thing is, you're not going to really build a lot of muscle in these people. It's more about maintaining so they don't deteriorate any further. That's really where it comes back to. Anyway, yep, good, not a problem. I'm not doing any cooking. Other people are doing it tomorrow. I'm just bring the alcohol. So it's going to be just sit back, eat, and be merry. Yes. What do you think of non-flavored, cold-filtered, grass-fed whey protein? It's probably better than the other commercial stuff. But I tend to be a person who doesn't really like that. Look, for old people that you can't get a lot of food into them, like meat and stuff like that, it's an option as a combination, giving them one scoop of that plus, a leucine supplement and a taurine supplement to help them along. But, unless you're really trying to build massive tissue, gin, probably not. Better to get it from real food, much better for your tissue. Also lower in deuterium as well. So there's that aspect as well. But, the deuterium side, obviously you're not oxidizing whey, so the deuterium thing is probably less of an issue. And it can play a growth factor, so may not be as bad in that regard. But ultimately, that's if you're in a fat adapted state, obviously. Otherwise, the biggest problem with a lot of the supplements, their utilization is low, so more of it can be converted to sugar as well. So that deuterium then becomes a problem when you're oxidizing that sugar. That is the problem with food, which actually your peristalsis can actually, be adjusted. So you're absorbing that protein over many hours. Like you have a steak, a lot of meat, you can absorb it over 6 to 8 hours. So that'll be a very slow absorption. That's why you don't feel hungry and all that. But when you're taking in some supplement, it rushes in. The bolus is too big, and the body needs to basically say, oh, I need this amino pool, this remainder stuff. That's why we have studies with supplements where it shows to spike sugar. When you have real food, it doesn't happen, because the body adjusts the peristalsis, the actual contractions of the actual intestine. So the absorption actually happens slower in a more managed way over a number of hours. That's the difference between real food and these supplements. Plus, there's another thing that happens with these. The bioavailability may be high, but the utilization is as low as plant protein nearly. We're talking about 17%. So, and which is the same as plants, where meat is double that and eggs are triple that. That's the difference. So if you want real protein to be incorporated into your tissue, eggs are the best source. Plenty of eggs. Plus you get all the cholesterol and all the other stuff, which are all the building blocks for tissue. So, yeah. Good one. Another one. That's a third one today. Oh, bloody hell. Popping out of everywhere. Yes. Oh, yeah, they'll suggest anything because they're selling stuff. That's the thing. Yes, get your keto bar here, get your keto snack here, you get your this and that. Yeah, it's all about dosh and clickbait and all that sort of stuff. You need this. Yes. Apparently in the old days they didn't, to build tissue, the old bodybuilders. I wonder, they must have been all wrong. Yes, nonsense. Neff, good to see you, mate. Yeah, Merry Christmas as well to you. Imagine walking up to Harry's voice at Christmas. Ah, hey, it's got style. It's exciting. Most people like to have me around. I excite the natives. Oh, yeah, sorry. Yes, that amount. Yes, I did get it wrong. Oh, yeah, exactly, that sort of stuff. Yeah, normally, well, I'm actually only having about a third of that at the moment. So about 0.5 or 0.6 pounds. And I'm not enjoying it. Let's put it that way. I'm going to enjoy tomorrow. Even today, I basically just had some cheese. I had some cured meats. That was about it. I didn't have a lot. And, so, and it's because of this experiment. Probably picked the wrong time to do the experiment. Let's put it that way. Robert. Also, whey protein, I have carnivore sponge cake in the oven. Ah, sounds good. Oh, with whey protein. Why not? Why not? It's the day to be merry. Look, I don't mind. As I said, there are uses for these sort of things, but don't make it a sort of a regular thing. DC, good to see you. Not a problem. And in about 4 hours, we're having the Zoom starting. So that's going to go for about 50 hours. So it's going to be a whole weekend right through. So there'll be plenty of opportunity for people to jump on and off and all that. And, so spend a bit of time there. Because, you're going to spend some time with your families and all that, obviously, over Christmas and all that, and your friends. But in between, when you're back at home on your own, spend a bit of time with this crowd, It'll be, to some extent, entertaining, I can tell you, and they're interesting conversations as well to have over the festive season. Oh, for the guests. Oh, so you got a few kibble eaters coming over as well. Okay, fair enough, Crazy. She invites the most colourful and interesting people to her home. You know what? She's probably going to invite some of the kibble eaters onto the Zoom session as well. Oh, that'd be fun, actually. I'd turn up for that. I like carnival pizza. Yeah, so do I. Yeah, pork rinds, eggs, blended into dough. Yep, I've done that. It's absolutely yummy, yum. Some people do it with chicken. You can do it with chicken as well, and you can do it also with beef as a beef base. There's somebody actually did a turkey-based one as well, so you can do it a turkey. So rather than using the pork rinds, you use the turkey as a base. So there's a whole lot of different things, and some of those are kosher for certain people, especially the Semitic people. They tend to, and there are some other populations as well that do have some of these things, like the Ethiopians and a few others. So there's a few different groups around the world. Luckily nowadays there are more options. That's the great thing. There are more options for people, whatever place of the world they are, and what food preferences they have and stuff like that, which is great. It's becoming more, the community is becoming more richer in that regard. As long as we don't get too much of the commercial nonsense, like in the keto community, I'm happy with the stuff that's currently there at the moment. Because most of that will have emulsifiers in and all this other stuff that's really, that's the problem with a lot of keto foods. They've got a lot of stuff that's not very good for the gut microbiome. So, yes, it is a problem in that virtual carnival way back then when mince pies. All want Christmas is honey in a food matrix. Robert. Anyway, we will move on. I'm ready, Sacred Cow. They talk about dietary advanced glycation products. My lord. Reaction from cooking meat, potentially a problem. What are your thoughts on this? I've done a video on that. Why don't you go and check it out? I've actually done a video on that. What is it called? Doing a bit of self promotion now. I was told by Hello Kitty not to do too much self promotion, so I've been told that in one of my previous streams I did far too much. Yes, I just have to remind people. I may have to change some of the titles on there. Some of my current titles are a bit, I don't know. They probably need to be modified. So in that regard, so I need to sort of adjust it or whatever in that regard. Now let me find that. Where the hell is it? Not that one. Nope. 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 Not that one. Here it is. I sort of cover it in this one. Is cooking animal fats as dangerous as some make it out? And I actually go through the details of lipid peroxidation, the amount of hours cooked and stuff like that, and it sort of covers these points quite well. So when you get a chance, check out that video after, which covers a lot of this sort of stuff. The reality is you only get trace stuff from the cooking. It's pretty much, unless you char it, completely make it dark. Yeah. And the body, if you're in a low carbohydrate state, you actually have more glutathione upregulation intracellularly. As long as insulin is down and not very high, you got that, and that refreshes the vitamin C and the vitamin E, and they are the ones that are electron down to basically stabilize any sort of stuff like that. And the glycation really, I mean, if you don't have, because the sugar molecules from the fat are the things that create the glycation. Okay, so the glycerol backbone of the triglycerides of the fatty, that you've got the fatty acids and the sugar molecule, But if you don't overcook and char it, not an issue, So in that regard, and the studies show trace levels which are irrelevant, and then the electron doning that the actual body naturally does eliminates that problem completely. It's a non-issue. It's more of a problem for kibble eaters who have suppressed glutathione expression and probably do need more, antioxidants to deal with the extra glycating factors that are coming in, because they add additional glycation to proteins with all the sugars that are coming in as well. So, yes, even toast, when you burn toast and, all that black stuff on the toast, that's the same stuff. So, and it's more than you get in meat. So it's just another bullshit, different day. Anyway, yes, exactly. Yes. Stop feeding Santa the wrong things, cookies and, low-fat milk. Yes, these people are really causing problems for Santa. Very much. I'm here to defend Santa, and he needs to be given species-appropriate food. Some beef jerky with milk, with full cream milk. Good for you, Neff. Sounds good. I'm going to have a variety of meats. I'm going to really pig out and pork out and all that. Gunda, g'day, mate. Merry Christmas to you as well, and to your family. Do you know why some carnivores can't handle rendered fat? It's just a gallbladder issue that resolves over time. It usually is. It seems to be the problem primarily. Where I've never had a problem with rendered fat of any sort, So whether it's, because dripping is another form as well. I can do rendered, the different types of tallow, dripping, all the way to, all the other different stuff, and even the dairy stuff that's rendered or slightly refined or whatever. So no, I think I used to, and it pretty much is. I did have gallbladder issues then, So now I just have a bit of sludge that comes out now and then. It sort of hasn't completely cleared out. Occasionally I just get a few issues, but at least I'm secreting bile in the proper way. It's just the sludge in the ducts is coming out slower. It's one of those things, unfortunately. Some people have that issue, some people don't. I've got very little now. I used to have a lot of horrendous issues where my feces would be just brown, light brown, that I'd get that a couple of times a month. Now I may get it once every a bit, very little, 6 months, 7 months, it just happens out of the blue. So I think there's some is stuck in some of the bile ducts, or it may be still in the gallbladder and hasn't, the stones have gone, but this stuff is still there, hasn't really cleared out properly. So yes, it varies between people, unfortunately, so it can take a bit longer. And that's only a couple of years now, and it usually, can take up to 7 years, it depends. So it can be a problem for people. This is what happens when you basically create a dysfunctional gallbladder. when you don't get enough taurine to emulsify, and then you basically create gallbladder issues. They're endemic now with the low fat type, with the high 70% kibble diets that most people on a SAD diet have today. That's why gallbladder issues are endemic. Where before, when we had 2/3 animal foods, 1/3 plants, they were very rare, and now it's the complete opposite. They're endemic. So I think that actually fulfills the Bradford Hill criteria very tightly in terms of dose dependency in that regard. But obviously, there's no research. You can't put people in labs and feed them for the whole life a certain diet and others to see what happens to their gallbladder. So we've only got observational studies of populations, but with strong odds ratios. So that's one thing going for us. Like with tobacco, higher odds ratios tend to basically signify that the inference is much higher. So, and it does fulfill the Bradford Hill criteria very tightly on many of those areas. So I'd suspect that is, because when you know that you need menaquinone 4, which is the animal form of vitamin K2, to actually produce bile, and you need taurine for the emulsification, so it actually is in the right consistency, it actually tells you a lot about, that you need animal foods to basically produce proper bile and function properly. So that sort of is a giveaway. It's sort of, you need these nutrients to produce that. If you don't have those nutrients, you can't produce that. But most people, the traditional, vagoons and stuff like that, the body produces enough taurine, biosynthesis enough taurine, and from the vegetables, vitamin K1 can be converted to K2, to menaquinone 4 in the liver. That's what they will tell you and all that. But the reality, or that the bacteria can also do it from vitamin K1. Yes, they can. But the difference is, in the old days, we had a better microbiome before glyphosate. We don't have a lot of those bacteria that do that production because they've been annihilated by glyphosate. One. Second, our livers are very poor converters of K1 to menaquinone 4. That's the other thing. And people have varied levels. So you've got all these things plus deficiency in the diet. Yeah, obviously. But, they'll always come up with these friggin' excuses. So what's bloody new with the vagoons? God. I knew this place would degenerate. I just have to say the word OnlyFans and, Tracy turns up and a few others, and it just all goes downhill from there. Yes, you'll feast. Yes, exactly. I'll be feasting tomorrow. Yes, so true. Spirit, you time and get stuffed, get plastered. A bit of that as well. So we're all having virtual reindeer, I know, if it does. Yeah. Just think of all those children. I've tried to say to Richard, just think of all those little children. Your name will be Mud, mate. Oh, that's it. Yes. Cross your fingers that basically Richard gets unlucky, that he basically turns up early to my Zoom stream and I just keep him there, preoccupied with some sort of, exciting, goofy stuff I'll have to come up with. Yes. Bjorn, good to see you, mate. Cooking meat is obviously not a problem. Definitely not. We've been doing it for millions of years. Yes. But I gave them the video just to help them out. I know people nowadays, Bjorn, need studies. Everybody needs a study. Yes, indeed, for millions and millions of years. We've been cooking now. Don't knock the Southern Hemisphere. Otherwise, I'll unleash Richard with his little lambs on you. They're quite vicious, those Kiwi ones. Haven't you seen the movie? Get with a program. Stefan, good to see you, mate. Surprised to see a live stream today. Yeah, I know. This is a pre-Christmas one. Remember, I'm not doing anything over Christmas. I'm basically just relaxing, sitting back. The only thing I'm going to run is a continuous Zoom thing for about 50 hours. And whoever wants to turn up, fine. You know, you got the links. You know where to go. Simple as that. You got no excuses whatsoever. Everybody's having something crude. How will Santa ever get through the night without his essential carbs? Cookies and low-fat milk, you mean? Oh, God. The mythology that Tracy, it's these mothers that continually perpetuate these myths. That's all I can say to the poor little kiddies. Oh, Tracy, I shake my head. Could you take a bit, talk a bit about MSM? What is it? Who should supplement it and how much of it and when during the day? Okay, MSM is a sulfur amino acid. And as a sulfur, it is really good as a binder for keratin. In your nails, in your hair, the collagen, the keratin, it actually binds them together. So it actually provides, stronger. It also helps with detoxification. Sulfurs do help with detoxification. You don't want too much either. You want it properly regulated with choline, which is luckily in an animal-based diet, it is regulated properly. But it depends how much it depends on the issue. If somebody has just general sort of stuff like looks at the nails and looks at the stuff and, nails, hair, need a bit of help, I would say at least 1 or 2 grams per day. If you've basically everything looks pretty good, give it a miss. You don't need it. You get plenty of sulfur amino acids from animal foods in terms of methionine and also things like taurine and stuff like that. But if, on the other hand, you're new to the actual diet and all that, and you may have oxalate that you're dumping and all that, especially on a sort of carnivore diet, you may need a bit because otherwise the oxalate as you're dumping it may deplete your levels in your system. And so when I was actually doing a lot of dumping and taking citric acid supplementation and in order to basically, or you can take lemon juice, up to you, I also combined it with MSM. So I did 2 grams, 3 grams when I was really getting a lot of dumping and, I was getting, when I saw basically a bit of foaminess coming out, I knew that a lot of oxalates were being dumped, so I'd use a bit more. So it depends where you're at, what's happening and all that. I used to consume in my keto days shitloads of spinach nearly every day. So I ended up with a lot of oxalate stored in my body. So I went through a horrendous experience to clear it out. So let that be a lesson. And in 5 years, 4 kidney stones. So yeah, so it was a horrendous experience in that regard. So yeah, taurine was great because it really fixed up all the fibrosis that this shit caused in my body. So it fixed up a lot of tissues. And I still take taurine for that exact reason, to fix up all the remaining damage that the oxalates did. So MSM is good for those purposes, especially when you're being depleted. But if you basically haven't had that sort of experience, you're coming from a standard SAD diet to that, you probably may only need 1 gram a day. And basically, I usually used to take it about the afternoon. So, and do that. Some people take it in the morning. It's up to you, when you break your fast about that time. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's critical when you take it in particular, but yeah, it does help in some regards. So it depends. It depends on your circumstances. I don't recommend it to everyone. Depends on people's circumstances. So I try to encourage people, if you don't have issues, it's not broken, no reason to fix something. So there is times for certain things, times when it's a waste of money. Yeah, that's true as well. Oh, yeah, it has hit mainstream now. That's true. And it's been promoted by a lot of people for better hair and nails and stuff like that. I promote it. I've talked about that aspect is true, as a keratin binder. But for me, it's more, do you have problems with, it's probably good for your vagoons who basically have a lot of very poor collagen problems and stuff like that. But ultimately, you do need all the other fat-soluble vitamins, all the other stuff that regulate the matrix metalloproteinases, the collagen-degrading enzymes. So if don't have enough of those, the MSM isn't going to really do much for you. And if you don't have enough choline to methylate excess, and you get build-up, because it can build up, then it can be a problem as well. So yeah, you've got to be careful with these sort of things. They've got their purpose to be used, but as Tracy says, yes, it's gone mainstream, and a lot of people probably don't ever need to use it. I needed to use it specifically with citric acid because I had a lot of oxalate dumping. So that was the reason, but most people probably don't need it if they're getting enough meat, taurine and all that. They're getting plenty of sulfur amino acids to deal with what is required by the body. Very well said, Tracy. Didn't he? Okay. Oops. Fair enough. Yep. Ah, yes. Nothing like a bit of sulfonation. Yes, you even need sulfonation on your pericellular matrix. Yes, it gives you a good negative charge. Tried it, made me feel totally wide and anxious, like I was mainlining caffeine. Yeah, it can be a problem. For some people, as I said, if you build up too much sulfur in your body, it can give you those effects. So that means you had no requirement for it. But if you're depleted in sulfur because of high oxalate and stuff like that, yes, then you can actually have. So I've always talked about MSM in relation to oxalate dumping and oxalate toxicity, not as a supplement, just a general supplement. Taurine is a different thing. Kettle of fish has but when it comes to MSM, it's specifically for those, and it can give you those issues. So, I mean, I've got MSM and I haven't used it for ages. It's there if I get any dumping. I think I'm past the dumping now, but I've just kept it out of sheer, let's put it this way, anxiety, just in case dumping comes back. I think I'll keep it there just in case I need it, sort of attitude. I probably won't than anything else. Yes. Yeah, look, a lot of people just jump on bandwagons and stuff like that. Everything's got a place, like B vitamins overuse, all that. You'll end up building too much pantothenic acid in your system, and then you'll end up with insomnia. People need to be wise about these things. It's best to get the stuff from real food. Supplements are called supplements because they are fixing deficiencies, and they are short-term solutions to fix deficiencies more rapidly so you don't have to suffer as long. But they're not the main game. The main game is really getting the nutrition from real food, basically. They've got their place. It's as simple as that. For Richard, perhaps sheep bikini competition will keep him occupied. Good idea, Scotty. Good idea. I didn't think of that. Okay, so I need to have something on the screen for him in that regard. Good thinking, good thinking. That will focus his mind, definitely focus his mind. You'll be mesmerised for hours. It'll allow Santa to get past the Kiwi land. Good thinking, Scotty, good thinking. Yes, yes, yes. I feel like Kirk in in Star Trek, you know. Scotty, you're giving us the juice. Oops. Drinking eggs. I used to basically raw eggs. At the end of the day, you've got more biotin, so it's only you only lose about from uncooked raw. It's about what is it? I think it was 20 something percent. So yeah, at the end of the day, you're not going to cause a biotin deficiency with raw. I've looked into it, you know, so the science is quite clear about it. How much is bound? Yes, so it's albumin, you know, only binds so much. Anyway, so, but I actually I used to throw away the whites, just the yolks. I used to do a whole lot of yolks, about like 8 yolks in a hit. So, yeah. Anyway, that was my actual, that's right. That was my cholesterol experiment that I did to really lower my cholesterol right down to total, down to 3.2 millimoles. Whatever that is, I'm trying to remember now. Let's take a look at the conversion thing. Millimoles, that's right, 3.2, which calculates as it's 123.7 in megajoules per deciliter. So, yes. And my other one, and that was when I was doing a lot of eggs, quite a lot of eggs, and to bring that down to that level. And the other one where I did moderate eggs was 3.7, and that was 143. So, oops. Ah, bloody hell. That's the converter I used. Anyway, so I don't bother with that sort of stuff anyway. I don't care what my cholesterol is. It's irrelevant. If it's oxidized, it's a problem. If it's not oxidized, who gives a shit? My body will work out what it needs and what it doesn't need. And the rest is nonsense. Hubby just found a Christmas movie, House of Usher. Wish me luck. Yes, I wish you luck. Is he good at picking movies? That's the operative word that I'd actually ask. It'd be the next question that I'd ask Tracy, but I'll leave it at that without getting into the weeds over these family issues. Gin, what about monk fruit sugar? Absolute garbage. Sugar is sugar. You know, it's high in fructose, so not a good thing. Higher the fructose, the higher the deuterium, the higher damage you do to your mitochondria, the worse it is. You know, it is all garbage. I would not use it. If you're going to use anything, use erythritol. The body even produces it, so it's and 90% ends up in the toilet. You only absorb about 10% from the diet if it's used. The other one that doesn't have a bad aftertaste is stevia. If you use the leaf, it doesn't have a bad aftertaste. If you use the other stuff, it does. So I know people combine the two to basically reduce the, yeah. But anyway, I don't really worry about those things anymore. Tracy, if it's done properly, it'll excite him. Gary. Yes, I am again. It's the Eurasia special pre-Christmas one. So covers all of Europe and other areas of the world. And what is it? From Europe to all through to Oceania and northeast Asia. Pretty much a long area to cover, but it does. That's why we've got the second one to cover everyone. Yes. Lukey, good to see you, mate. Back again. He must have just woke up. Robert, mate. Merry Christmas to you as well, mate. What symptoms do people get with dumping oxalate apart from kidney stones? They can get a lot of skin irritations, eczema, and all sorts of things. Depending on, you can actually get, let's say, painful. If it's some of it actually gets through. If you don't actually have enough calcium, and some of it actually is not bound enough with calcium, and it gets through the feces, let's say it can cause some irritation in the anus area. So yes, so that can happen. I didn't have that effect. No joy for me. Hope you're laughing. It's supposed to be a comedy show. Didn't you realise? You guys came here for the information. God, you got the wrong idea. And pretty much, it's mostly usually you're urinating like foamy sort of stuff, and it can be quite painful. You can feel pain on the kidneys, and it varies. It subsides and then gets intensity. And it's really important when that's happening. If you're one of those people that usually has more, let's say, you're dumping it from your via urination, which is what I do, more citric acid is required. Far more citric acid. If, on the other hand, you tend to be somebody who excretes it more from their skin or their, you may need a bit of citric acid as well for that. If you're basically one that actually removes it from the feces quite a bit, there you may need more calcium. Yes, exactly. Including citric acid, but also calcium, just in case some of it will go through the urine as well. So you don't want kidney stones in that regard. So yeah, so it can vary, but when I was dumping, I wasn't doing any calcium, any dairy whatsoever. I was just using citric acid because I very much dump through the kidneys, and that's why I've had kidney stones in the past. I'm more prone to getting kidney stones, where some other people get the anal fun. We'll leave it at that. Can't have all the pleasures in life. People are playing on MSM with supplements and MSM mainstream media. Oh, yeah, I know. It's just bloody crazy out there. It's got a place, as I said, using it specifically for when people are basically dumping oxalate, because you deplete sulfur because of oxalate, it depletes sulfur. So it has a strategic place to be put in. But, people are basically misusing it for other purposes and getting themselves into trouble, because usually they're on a kibble diet of one sort or another. They're not getting enough choline in the diet, and choline actually has a methylating. It can actually reduce the amount of sulfur amino acids in the system if they get into excess levels. Unfortunately, most of these people don't know that. It's like it can methylate away excess sulfur, and it also can methylate away xenoestrogens, two things that plague modern humans. Yes, but unfortunately, most people think that choline will give you TMAO, and choline is going to kill you. even though it produces things like acetylcholine, which is a neurotransmitter. Really important for the brain. Choline, it also breaks down the beta amyloid. Very important if you don't want to become demented. So are our recommendations: don't eat eggs, don't eat any food that is high in choline, increasing dementia rates and Alzheimer's? I'll let you ponder that. Yes, people not eating a species-appropriate diet and wondering why they get becoming demented. Say no more. Yes, and keeps sulfur levels under control as well. Anyway, can there be a bad quality taurine? Here in Poland, the local ones are $4 per 250 grams. I can't get the brand you recommended. It doesn't say it's free form. It has 300 milligrams of vitamin C. Definitely don't get anything with vitamin C. It's going to be a dodgy. It's got a whole lot of fillers. The ones with vitamin C are not pure. Taurine have a lot of fillers. Not recommended. Definitely not. Check Amazon and see what's available. They do have some pure taurine with nothing else in them. So do check Amazon. That's the only one on iHerb, unfortunately. The other ones, yes. So are they out? I don't know. Are they? You should be able to get it on iHerb Germany. I thought the German iHerb outlet actually provides the taurine supplement that I've should check the iHerb, the German one, and also check the European. I think it's also on the European. I think it is, or the British one. I can't remember now. One of the two Amazon ones. Yeah, but don't buy that junk. Anything that's got other things in it, I'm always dubious. In many cases, they've been checked and they've got a lot of other fillers and crap. So, Neff's put something up. That's the iHerb one. And he's put the NO one. It's available on the Australian site. Obviously, it always changes to your place in the world. So as you can see, it's this one here. It's 100% pure, unflavored. It's got no other stuff in it. And it's basically free form as a free form amino acid, which is what it should be. And have to go down to this, don't we? As you can see, other ingredients, none. Absolutely none. Which is exactly, we don't want any other ingredients. We just want pure, as a pure sulfur amino acid. Nothing else in there. And that should be available on also Amazon as well. I believe it's on Amazon. I believe I've seen it on Amazon. Hold on. Let me just take a look. So that was the... Yep, it's on Amazon as well. So there it is on Amazon as well. They got additional stuff. Yeah, so this is the one you definitely want. And yep. So I'll just stick that in the there it is. So that's on there. So yeah, you can just search the different ones per your country or whatever, and see what you get. When you hit the iHerb one, it automatically will go to your nation, to your country, or the country which if let's say I think Poland doesn't have one. I'm not sure. I could be wrong. Some countries don't, and they'll revert to the neighbouring country. Germany does. There's the EU one, which covers all of Europe. I think now that actually covers also Germany. I'm not sure how they've changed. You'd have to check. I think somebody said something along those lines. I can't remember. Yep. Anyway, have you looked into the? No, not yet. Not yet. I'm doing a video on it. I've still, yeah, it will happen. Pretty sure. Okay, I could be wrong. I thought it had fructose in it. Anyway, I could be wrong. I may be thinking of something else. Look, I'm not into alcohol, sugars, and all that. I don't encourage that sort of stuff. I think that, yes, you got to consider all that sort of stuff. Let me put it that way. Glycemic load, not glycemic index. That's nonsense. Glycemic load, and even glycemic load, there are issues even with that in that regard. A lot of these systems aren't perfect that they've come up with. My view is, like Bart's, sugar is sugar. Okay, the load is slightly lower. There are factors that can actually slow down whatever, but at the end of the day, it still turns into sugar. The gradient, the Randall cycle gradient, may be slightly different. That's the only thing, but it still turns into sugar in the end of the day. You'll only may affect the Randall cycle gradient. So Thorn Research has a pure taurine. Yeah, I think so. I think they do, from memory. I think I have used it in the past. I think it only comes in tablets from memory. I can't remember now. It's been a while. I use this brand nowadays, so in that way, yep. Yep. Hope to see people later in the Zoom session in about, 3 hours from now, nearly 3 hours. Depends. I won't say too much. I want to do a video on it, so I'll leave it at that. I do have varying opinions on it, so that would take up to. And I'm trying to actually get to the bottom so I can finish in 8 minutes' time. So that would take far too long to explain my thoughts on it. But I want to do a video, so I'm going to hold off, Robert. So you will have to basically persevere and wait for my views on it. I'm not going to answer it until I've got the video to be done. So I'll leave it at that. Yep. Yeah, exactly. They are very much, and they function differently in different people. That's the other thing. They really function different in different people. So, yeah. Okay, I'll take your word for it. You've probably looked in it. I must be mixing it up with something else. Like the agaves and all that. There are certain things which are plant-based type ones that have got really high fructose. I must be mixing it up with one of the others. So yeah, I need to do. Oops, which did I hit? I think I hit that one, did I? Yep. And yeah, there is one that I want to do on the different things, like even stuff that has very little sugar or very little so-called glycemic index or load from the alcohol sugars and stuff like that. Some of them actually have really high insulin responses. So, you'll be surprised. Some of the alcohol sugars and many other stuff that actually can initiate very high insulin responses in the body. So they're not necessarily good just because they've got zero sugar. If they're raising insulin quite a bit, that can be a problem. Does taurine also dissolve internal scars from surgery, persisting trigger points that are decades old, kind of fibrosis? Yep. Over time it does. Obviously the older you are, the more damage you've got. It takes longer. But it does have an anti-fibrotic effect in tissues. Some tissues that, let's say, like around the spine and other areas, less, and the reason for that is because there's not enough blood flow in those areas, which is another problem in itself. So the stuff can't get there, so to speak, which is a bit of a problem. So there are issues. It's not a panacea for everything, but it does help improve. But it also is used widely throughout the body, and so it can vary the tissue types that will actually take it up. So you may take it for one thing and it gets used for another thing where the body considers it a bigger priority. So, your scar may not be a top priority if your heart, your brain, and many other tissues need it more. Your eyes as well. All these tissues have they're bigger hogs. They hog taurine. So you may have to go much higher in terms of supplementation if you're noticing that the body's taking a lot of this sort of stuff and you're not, after, like 2 years, haven't noticed any changes, if you know what I mean. But you're not going to get massive changes to scar fibrosis. As it's not, as I said, it's not a panacea. That you'll get some reduction. I've noticed my own scar isn't as bad as it used to be a decade ago, but it's not completely gone either. So, so that's the, the old zipper, so to speak. Anyway, this doesn't actually go down, but I'll do it next time if I remember. Yeah, so that's the sort of difference in that regard. Yes. Yeah, I don't know enough about. I'll have to look it up. I can't remember now. I know erythritol isn't as bad in some regards, but it may have a different effect in terms of its effect in terms of insulin. Desired tissue after belly hernia surgery. Not dangerous. Yep. More vanity. Fair enough, mate. We all have that, I was concerned with it. My zipper, but I sort of got over it. You're welcome, mate. Yeah. Do love reindeer. Keep away from Santa. Another one that's out pursuing Santa. In that regard. Nope. It depends. We'll have a chat. I'll see you and we'll have a chat about a few things. So do turn up and we'll have a chat on the Zoom thing. Pretty sure. Yeah, I suspect exactly that a number of these things will basically trigger insulin. Anything that's basically got a sugar molecule in that regard, because we're talking about, you've got signaling. The body doesn't know between something artificially made or something modified or whatever compared to the real stuff. But it actually does notice certain structures that are similar. And it goes, that's sweet. It's hit that receptor. We're going to initiate a bolus of sugar is coming in. Let's raise insulin. So that's what I mean. So where certain other things like stevia, while it has a sweet taste, it has also, it doesn't actually initiate as a strong reaction on those receptor sites. So that's important as well. So that is why you get such varied. Most alcohol sugars are quite high. Some of the others are natural stuff, and all that can vary in that sort of stuff. Yes, but that's for another day and another video. I need you to watch so I can get some clicks and stuff like that, all the sort of stuff that helps the algorithm. Oh, you could. You're getting enough. You're getting enough from the meat and stuff like that, so the requirement, isn't really high for you. So why waste your money? Remember, you just came out of university. You're a young whippersnipper. Save your money for your first home or whatever, or first car or whatever. Yes. Eat more meat. Get out in the sun. Enjoy life, Lukey. Don't complicate things too much. It's more for us middle-aged people that are basically have declining taurine levels and a whole lot of issues that we're dealing with. There you go. Cleaved. Wonderful. The question is, yes, even some of the alcohol sugars that end up, like erythritol as well, they end up in the gut 90%. There can be some cleavage of that, but it varies. But since most of it ends up in the bowl through the feces, it's less of a problem in that regard. But yes, I've never heard you talk about the benefits of sauna yet. If for my case, can't sleep the following night, even when I look in the morning, feel like 10 cups of coffee. Look, I see saunas and cold thermogenesis. I mean, I've done like hot baths, and I've done like cold baths, like, and stuff like that, and cold showers and stuff like that. And I can tell you, I can only manage a couple of minutes. It's a struggle. So I've done that, and it's a hermetic effect. But at the end of the day, that hermetic effect is actually upregulating heat shock proteins. And heat shock proteins being upregulated tend to basically, like a bit of ROS, reactive oxygen species, a bit is good, too much is bad. So a bit actually has a hormetic effect and encourages the body to heal, to renew, to turn over old cells and old organelles and stuff like that. Too much, not a good idea. I think people nowadays are doing far too much excessive so-called beneficial. The only benefit that I can see with sauna is basically if you want to help the detox, clearing out stuff through your skin, it can be useful in that regard. Some of the other stuff I see as less of a benefit. So it can enhance some of the detoxing, but you have to basically have a good, well-running, functioning gallbladder as well for detoxing. So yes, it can have a side benefit in that regard. Yep. But yes, so feeling like 10 cups of coffee. Anyway, everybody's got their own little experience of what they do or feel or stuff like that. So yeah. Look, let me just have a little sip of this. Mm. Yes. Anyway, there was something else I wanted to remember, but I can't remember it now. But anyway, I think sometimes there's bugger, I'm not going to get into a conversation because it'll take far too long. Yep. Anyway, I'll end up basically going on a tangent about hormesis and all that. Let me just, I'll say one thing and I'll leave it at that without getting too much into the weeds of all this sort of stuff, because otherwise I'll end up with a long sort of thing. I've always said that too much hormesis is not necessarily the best thing. You know, we've got EMF, non-native EMF, all the wiring in our homes. We've got all sorts of things that are adding to cellular stress. Do we need to add more? Is my sort of view that I put out there. So it may, now a young person may get more benefit from those sort of things. An older person may actually put too much stress on their body. It's a hard one, you know, in that regard. I think out of all the other stuff, if I was going to do anything of those sort of things, like, you know, diving in a pool of cold water or whatever, I'd probably do the occasional sauna because of some of the benefits it has in getting, you know, helping the body excrete things, get rid of them out of your body. So that's probably it. And then again, it would depend on the person's tolerance as well, stuff like that. So yeah. Anyway, I'll leave it at that without getting too much into the weeds. Anyway, yeah, exactly. Look, it has benefits. Taurine has benefits for vagoons as well, because they don't get enough, and it can mitigate a number of their issues, health issues. So, and they can get, I think that one there is actually vegan and vegetarian friendly. So if you've got vagoon friends or relatives in particular, you may want to help them out with that one. Anyway, we're past the actual time. I should have pulled the plug. But anyway, as I said, I get into the weeds, and that's my biggest problem, and start talking about all sorts of things. Yep. If you've seen benefit, you know, fantastic. Can taurine enhance vasocularization? That's the sort of, is that with new blood vessels and stuff like that? Yeah, it sort of can. It also can with, because of its osmotic effect, it also can influence, like, so it can actually get oxygenation into other tissue. Can actually, because it can remodel things, has a remodeling effect. So yes, in a sense, it depends on the tissue type and the type of remodeling that's going to happen, and also has an effect, like, because of the osmolyte effect, you know, with the actual constriction, the vasoconstriction, stuff like that, it can influence that as well. So yeah, it is involved in a number of functions within the endothelium, the blood vessels. Yep. So, but it's more of a, think of it more of a, like, homeostatic thing, that it balances things out. Like an example, your gut motility. It will basically, if it's too slow, it'll actually increase it. If it's too fast, it'll actually slow it down. It actually regulates it into more normal parameters. It tends to, like with the electrolytes, it balances them out to be in a more homeostatic effect. It actually provides more homeostatic effects, which is in these sort of the way things. So it doesn't do massive stuff, but it doesn't underdo. It sort of finds the right sort of levels where proper functioning of the tissue will function at. So it's a really good, you could say, balancer or something like that. Yes, so it's good in that regard. Yep, some people, yeah, exactly. You can take a bit of extra taurine at night and have a calming effect as well. Many actually take their supplement in later in the evening. Yeah. Actually, Hello Kitty actually uses protein powder for that purpose exactly to make carny ice cream. Yeah. So she adds a bit of that in there with cream and all that. So yes, in that right. EMF has a little effect. Yes, I want to build a Faraday cage. Sounding like Frankie. Celandino even does daily saunas in hot Costa Rica. Anyway, everybody's got their sort of. Yeah, that's what I mean. It can become like, if you go traditionally, traditional people did it periodically now and then. Nowadays, people basically, they just do all these. It's like I need to do is maximize hormesis like it's off the show. It's like everything, I need to take maximum amount of this supplement or maximum amount of that vitamin or mineral or whatever. Yeah, people think excess is better. It's not. Excess hormesis. We live in a very hormetically excessive environment. EMFs, non-native EMFs, toxins, all these sort of things. They all putting stress, cellular stress on our body. They do increase heat shock proteins in our body. Why would somebody think that actually adding more to that stress would be a good thing? I think you've got to get the diet right. And then those stresses are going to be reduced because of the better diet. And then those small amount of stresses of general life are actually going to be sort of beneficial in a sense rather than be deleterious as much. So it's sort of yes, hormesis can be overdone, unfortunately. Yeah, it's again, a salad boy is going to blame some other bloody thing if it doesn't go well for him. Again, it's all this jump on reductionism, jump on the bandwagon, yeehaw, sort of attitude, So it's the unfortunate reality, out there. Send my Fagoon's offspring a huge pack of taurine. Probably a good idea. It would help them, It's also would be cardioprotective for them as well. Let's put it that way. So, yes. That other thing that I'm going to do will actually explain that as well. So I've included that as well for the Vagoonerized community. So, my heart's in the right place. I get my hormesis through exercise. I do enjoy ice bathing through. Yeah, exactly. You get your hormesis, and that's how I get it through exercise. I get my hormesis, and plenty of other things, toxins in the environment. There's plenty of things causing heat shock proteins, activation in our environment, unfortunately. Yes. So I don't need to add, like we have this bizarre mentality. I'm not getting enough. I need to add this, add that, add that. It's just, crazy. No, you just need to enjoy the sun, enjoy nice quiet walks in the wilderness, have good relationships, enjoy good animal foods, and try and reduce your stress levels and calming and all that. Try and maintain good relationships because they tend to be less stressful. Those are the things that are really important in life, and undervalued in some regards. So yes. Yes, confusing these damn time zones. Frankie painted his house with lead paint now. What? Oh, God, is he insane? He'll end up with lead poisoning. That guy's just lost a plot. Absolutely lost the plot. That's to keep EMFs out, but he'll end up with lead poisoning. I mean, how crazy can you be? Oh, God. And he's going to blame some other bloody thing. It's a conspiracy. Why I got lead poisoning? Not that you painted the whole fucking house with lead, Oh, God. Absolutely. It's off the show. People have just lost a plot. It's bizarre, Bjorn. It's bizarre, Oh, God. He's going to poison himself with lead. God almighty. How crazy can you be? That's it. That's it. It's not very complicated. We humans just overcomplicate things. Our ancestors didn't. They got out in the sun. They ate. They had good relationships. That's what they did. They didn't stress themselves too much. Yeah, it's not as complicated in that regard. If you're always looking for another sort of the thing, yeah, what can one say? Anyway, I'm going to pull the plug. We've had quite a few hours, and then I'll, in 3 hours' time, because I need to sort the other stuff out also that I'm going to be uploading. So they need to be sorted as well. I need to do the little images and stuff like that, and the description, and all that sort of stuff. All the nice stuff that's important. More than likely. Oh yeah, what can one say? It's just crazy. It's the world's gone mad. People like him have just lost the bloody plot completely and utterly. Yeah, what can one say? Not a problem. Yep, exactly. Turn up. Everyone is welcome. Enjoy each other's company over the Christmas break and all that. Hope to see you there, DC, as well. And as I said, bring any friends along. Where everybody's welcome. So thanks, guys, for being here. Appreciate it. And be nice. Oh, sorry. Be nice. I'll be the naughty one. Anyway, thanks for being here. I appreciate your support. And for the whole this year, I really appreciate some of my subscribers have been very loyal and really stuck with me and really supported me and promoted me and got me out there, helped me actually get a bit larger, enlarge myself and all that on my footprint. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you very much. At the end of the day, I can sit here talking to myself, but you guys are the people that actually make this possible, make this channel as lively as it is, interesting. You challenge me with your questions, because without challenging questions, I'm not going to grow. You grow because I grow. It's let's say, it's a virtuous circle, Thanks, mate. Appreciate it, Neff. So it's a virtuous circle. We support each other in a sense. You've got to see it like that. You guys contribute questions, you hear things, you ask me, you challenge me, you challenge notions, which is good. Everyone should be challenged. Nothing should be a sacred cow. And in that way, it forces me to pick up my game and actually look into certain things and go, maybe, there may be a point, or at least find out why I originally thought I was right about something, and I was right, but actually go deeper into our understanding of such a thing. So I've never, I know other people find it uncomfortable to be challenged. I don't. You know that. I think it's important. The only way you grow, you become better, is by being challenged. It's like, hormesis. a bit of pressure, a bit of stress actually improves the body. It's the same thing with the mind. If you want your mind to actually improve in the way it performs and all that, all comes down. Good to see you, Heather, and thank you as well. Good night as well. So all part of that. Now, don't forget, before you go, please hit the like button. Don't go away. Don't leave without without hitting the like button. Definitely, Tom. Take care, mate. And please share, and if you haven't subscribed, why not? Please do. Now, a new policy from next year, just to letting everyone know that of next year, all live streams at the current, because we're getting all this garbage that's coming in, I want to basically exclude that. And so that will basically exclude, and all basically, and I don't want nonsense, like we get deranged people that come on. Basically, it'll only be subscribers only. And I've decided that. I've talked with some friends and they said, well, why are you wasting your time providing information for people who don't even subscribe to you, don't even support you? So it will be only subscribers. So all the live streams from next year will be subscriber only. If you're not a subscriber, you won't get your answered, and you won't be able to put an answer in the live chat. So I'm doing that deliberately to force people who aren't subscribers to subscribe, and that improves the AI and all that sort of stuff. And I think it's a fair thing. If I'm actually providing people with information, I think they should be subscribed, because I have to go away and do my research, and all that. So I have to put in an effort. Doesn't take much of an effort to go click and notifications. I think that's a fair ask for people to basically be subscribed if I'm actually going away and actually providing them with a lot of free information, so, and I answer a lot of their emails and stuff like that. So will be monitoring with emails and everything who are subscribers and who aren't. Simple as that. I think it's a fair thing to be done, and it's, because my time's valuable as well, and I'm neglecting other things that could be beneficial to me. So you got to make it worth my time as well. So I don't want to be wasting my time with people who basically aren't supporting me. Simple as that, because I have had questions from people and stuff like that, and I've looked back and found they weren't a subscriber. So that was annoying. And they were subscribing to other people, and I'm going, that's annoying. So, yes, that is why I've decided to go down that path. And I think it's fair. That's the reality. Yeah, I know. It's actually grown quite a good, which is great. Scotty, I think if it wasn't for the YouTube, the way they function, it probably would have been much more, because even Bart said when he got over 1,000, he ballooned very fast. That doesn't happen anymore. If you're not basically, in the big echelon, you get very little growth in the now. And that's why a lot of people are so disgruntled, smaller. Yeah. And it's all this nonsense, people putting up their asses or doing nonsensical, idiotic things that are getting exploding in size. And that's where all the commercial dollars are going. And people that are actually doing useful stuff to inform people about health and other things are basically being very much suppressed within the YouTube world, unfortunately. So I haven't seen a similar explosion like Bart saw, but he's also basically been suppressed for a very long time and struggling to grow. He's growing very slowly as well. And I'm doing the same thing. Everybody that basically, whether you're a carnivore, whether you're, a lot of people are struggling in the same way. Even some vegans. It's surprising how much on the, the AI and the sort of the general sort of stuff, it's crazy that what's happening here. If you're small and you're not making a lot of traction, you basically, so, and I think it was only that one thing that I did on Novavax that actually really changed it all for me. So, in that forehead, thanks, mate. Yeah, so that's, in that regard, that really changed it around. So, haven't been able to replicate that. That was accidental as well. So, anyway, we'll see next year how it plays out and all that. But anyway, thank you for your support this year. I do appreciate it quite a bit. Now, just a reminder for everyone, Bart is running a live stream tomorrow. So don't forget to drop in. And that's in about, I think it's is it 8 in the morning? I'm not sure when he's doing it. It's probably going to be about 10, 11 hours from now. In the morning he's going to be running a live stream. So do drop in. I think he's doing it with Pim. So he said that he was going to do a live stream anyway. I think he's doing a Christmas live stream. It's the reason I also picked pre-Christmas, and also because it suited me that way, because I wasn't, and I did do the thing, and most people thought, yes, I should take a bit of a break over the Christmas period. But Richard wanted, Vivid Mouse from New Zealand wanted the actual Zoom, so I made that available for everyone, and I think that's a fair thing to do. So yeah, I've definitely put that up, and I think that will be useful for everyone in that regard. Yes. Someone has asked about that one on a large climate skeptic forum around the time I left the link. Not sure if that translates subs through. Look, don't know. You can put it there, see what happens. Maybe, maybe not. In that regard, it depends on the people who are there. Thanks for if you're promoting that sort of stuff of mine. Appreciate it. The difference is, when it comes to, without getting into the weeds and upsetting the AI on the YouTubia, as I've said, when it comes to these corona type things, whether it's the common cold, influenza, or whatever, pretty much your good T lymphocytes are your protection, your really ultimate protection, in that regard, because they mutate quite a bit in that regard. And the new one, basically, as you all know with the video that'll be earlier in the morning, will explain that. So, but, people still need to work. People still need to use a traditional option that's not going to be problematic. So that's all that one is. It's an option for people who want to maintain employment, because they're making it so fucking hard to basically opt out for most people. It's the unfortunate situation. As I've said, if people have taken the other options, they need to really ramp up their vitamin D levels to 80 nanograms per deciliter and get their taurine levels up as well to basically really support their thymus and their T lymphocyte levels, because they're the only ones that go into cells and clear them out. So if you want to clear out spikes, you want to get rid of little spikies, that's the stuff you need. You need your T lymphocytes to be really ramped up. So enjoy the sun, enjoy a steak, and have a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everyone. And whoever I see on the Zoom stuff, look forward to seeing whoever's got free time between now and the next, 50 plus hours that'll be on running continuously. Anyway, guys, see yous. Thanks for everything for this year, your support and everything else. And take care and enjoy the company of your families. And yes, eat plenty of steak. See yous.